Okay.
It always makes you cry.
He made my punch list.
And that was our first fight. Time is a flat circle.
Like 2 people are gonna get this.
Ooh. Love Kale.
Ew. I want him to crawl to me.
Now that was spicy.
Your Honor, I love him.
Why choose means you don't choose.
I want a third act breakup because I want him to grovel.
There are exceptions to every rule.
Trust me, I'm a father. Don't worry, Daddy's got you. Hi, a quick PSA from Father Lib and Sister Britt from the future. We pre-film, so you're going to see us with our first author interview with Adrian R. Hale, but this is the first episode launching for October, so we are starting our Kingmakers series read-through by Sophie Lark. This week we are reading, it's year 1, The Heir. So we're doing that this week. And you can tune in for all of the extra info on the podcast Instagram page. Until then, all right, enjoy.
Have fun, guys.
Welcome to Chapter 4 of the Smut Daddy podcast.
Hey, guys.
Woo! I'm your host, Father Lib.
And I am your co-host, Sister Britt. And we are just 2 best friends who met on Booksta and now can't imagine life without each other. And we talk on the daily. So welcome to our chat today, guys.
Today is very exciting because we have our first ever author guest. And we're excited. She is the best human, one of the best authors. She's an incredible friend. It's our sister in Smut, Adrian R. Hale. How are you, Adrian?
I am doing fantastic. It was a short, long week for my real job outside of my fun job. So I'm so happy that it is Friday and the weekend and we get to do this together.
Yes, I feel that.
Me too.
How's the heat down there in Texas? Is it still scorching?
God. Oh yeah, absolutely. We've had some rain this week, but that doesn't mean it gets cooler. It just means that it's muggy and it's sticky. So it doesn't cool anything off.
When does it start cooling off at all?
Probably November, probably around like Halloween. That's about when we get like.
Oh my gosh, it's like snowing in Ohio on Halloween.
Yeah, we're lucky if we have no precipitation of any type in Illinois on Halloween.
And like on Halloween, you're normally bundled up and everyone's mad because your Halloween costume's now covered with the winter coat.
Yep.
Fair enough. It will rain around Halloween,
goes.
but like again, it is not a cold rain usually. It is like, 75 degrees, and that's cold for us around Halloween.
I kind of love that, but I wouldn't be able to handle this summer heat and the humidity. I wouldn't be able to do it.
It's hot, yeah, for sure. So I've stayed, most of the summer I've stayed inside, so I haven't had to deal with it too
Yeah,
much.
I don't blame you, especially because you're writing.
Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of pale right now. Normally I'd be a little tanner.
I'm just
always
pale year-round now. It's fine.
Fair enough.
Vampires love it.
Yes.
Perfect. I love that.
Perfect for
Excellent.
Libby.
We'll just embrace our vampire selves.
They're all down here.
Oh, perfect.
I think
And
my
Twilight
only vampire
Land.
experience truly is True Blood. I've experienced
Oh, I
no
love-
other
Did you
vampires.
read all the Suki Stackhouse books? Charlene
Yes,
Harris.
I have them all upstairs.
And
So
when I say
amazing.
that I have
Love
True
her.
Blood experience, it's the TV show. It is not the books.
Oh, no.
Which I also have all of every season on DVD because I'm obsessed with Eric Northman. I would let that man do anything.
terrible
to me.
things
I mean,
to you?
his fangs for our video watchers. These are Eric
Oh.
Northman's fangs. So
Stop it.
I love it.
That's amazing.
if he's out there,
So my husband's name is
fictional
Billy, and we loved how Anna
I'm like-
Paquin would say Bill on the show. She always go Bill.
Yes.
my absolute favorite moment for all of our niche True Blood fans out there is where Sookie is in the kitchen, like cleaning up blood or something, and she's like, I just want Bill to come in here and go, Sookie. And I quote that to my husband constantly. It is the best line for me. I'm like, Anna, you killed it. You nailed it with that one line in
She
season
did.
1.
I was Sookie
Yeah.
one year for
Oh.
Halloween, so I
was too.
Everyone send me a picture
Oh my
of
gosh, I'll
you
have to
dressed
find
as Sookie, and I will insert it into the video.
yes, love it.
Find one. Oh my gosh. Incredible. I think I had like
All right,
blood
Britt.
dripping down my neck on that one. That was pretty good.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I think
Two
I did
little
too.
bite marks on my
Puncture mark.
side of my
Yeah,
neck.
Absolutely.
And I was wearing the tiniest little shorts because I wanted to be just
Yep.
like her.
Me too. I had my hair in a side ponytail.
I love you guys can tell we're literally all the same person.
Pretty much, yes.
That's why we all get along
Yes.
so well.
That was before I was a
awesome.
reader, though, so I was only invested in TV shows, and I watched a lot then.
That's
but
okay.
we have
I love
since
it.
changed, and I hardly watch any TV nowadays. So
Same.
Yeah, I am watching something right now though, but
What are you watching?
that's for another time. It's called The Umbrella Academy. It's
Oh,
the
okay,
last
yeah.
season. I'm a little behind, I know, but I don't like when things end. Brittany and I have been recently
What?
learning I
You?
will put things off
No?
for
Yeah.
years. So, but me and Mr. Smut Daddy, yeah, we're watching that. It's incredible. Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorite shows of all time. And this is its very last season. They're just didn't
Okay.
get canceled. They just like are like, hey, this is it. Like
Sorry,
it was
we're
5
done
years
now.
and this is it. And I was like, okay, well that's really great for someone like me. I'm doing really well with that.
Oh no.
So it is
no
really good though.
closure for you.
that is awful.
I mean, it is going
my
to
worst
be. It is
nightmare.
finalized.
I
Well, I
know.
mean, it's finalized. Like this season has a complete ending.
Okay.
But like they knew going into it that they were not doing
Oh, okay.
anymore.
Oh wow.
And so that's where I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I thought you're supposed to go forever. What do you mean?
You don't stop this. What are you
I'm
talking about?
with you on that.
I was invested.
That's twice now that Netflix has said, here's a show. That's great.
Sometimes
I know
Hulu
that
will
has
pick up
nothing
a
to
show
do
like
with
that, or
books,
vice
but-
versa.
Well, this
Nice
is
when they
kind
do
of our
that.
thing each week. We kind of just give a little life update also on what we're reading, but sometimes just what's happening in our life. And sometimes we have
Fair,
TV shows
fair.
happening
I love
outside,
it.
you know?
And everyone will probably be like, what? I don't understand. For everyone that's watching and listening, we pre-record. So this will be probably coming out in a few weeks. And so people, if you look back and like the next episode, we're like, hey, it's freezing and everything's terrible. It's also because it's been like 2 or 3 weeks. So
Yes.
No more tank tops for you at that point.
I mean, it could
for
be
real.
90 degrees out, and I'm still going to be wearing a crew neck and sweats. Like, I'm just always cold.
very warm today, though.
Fair enough.
Have you been, I know you've been away. You've been with your friend. I apologize. I cannot remember your author friend's name, but you guys were
That
away
was
at a little
Jillian
retreat.
Ray. Yes, I met her in Raleigh, and we drove out to the coast to Oak Island, and she basically treated me like a little princess all weekend and kept me writing. It was
Oh.
fantastic. I didn't have to do anything. She like cooked for me, fed me.
Nice.
We love princess treatment.
Were you working on Peyton while you were there?
I was, yes.
Yes.
So I hadn't picked it up in weeks, so it was nice to kind of get back into the story. I like read through everything that I had written, and then wrote like 16,000 words basically in 2.5 days.
Wow!
Good work.
And
That's
here-
incredible.
It's
Sorry, don't mind
nice
me
when you
adjusting
have
my
somebody
heating pad.
who's like, here's your breakfast, here's your lunch, here's your dinner. Hey, don't touch your phone, go back to writing. Like, well, we would talk and laugh and have little breaks here and there, but for the most part, like we were writing the whole time, and she had her own goals and things she was doing. But
That's great.
really cool.
I feel like I
worked
would need
very
that
well
too.
together.
Like, put your phone down, Brittany. Stop it.
I think I
Especially
established
like
that
big
from the
emphasis on the
beginning.
food.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
need someone sometimes to just, I mean, someone does it for me every day to be like, hey, you need to eat. Time to eat. We have
Yes.
to eat now and pay attention to ourselves. So I think that would be great to do that for
And
24
she's
hours.
like
Hello.
so good and healthy, and brought like whole foods and good stuff. And I was like, I'm being fed really well. I've, however, brought a bag of candy. I had like
Yes.
Sour Patch Kids and M&Ms, and I had a bunch of.
Yes.
I had Starburst, and I was just like,
You're allowed. Ooh, Starburst are a big vice of mine. I actually just bought a whole new big bag.
Yes.
But you're allowed to have those because you're writing, and those are your little rewards
yeah.
for when
Well,
you write all
Positive
your words.
reinforcement for
Funny
those
story.
words.
well, Saturday
I
I
know
had
we'll-
so many Sour Patch Kids. I burned my tongue. Like my tongue was like hurting, and I was like, I can't have any
Yes.
more of these. So,
Oh, I hate that.
I know
yeah.
that we will get into it a little bit later, but I do want to know, did you already know the name of book 4?
No.
Or did this come about on this
Oh
trip?
my gosh, so that was one of our goals. She sat me down when we got there Friday evening, and she's like, what are your goals for this weekend? And I was like, I want to either finish this book or write a really large amount for it. She's like, okay, great. And I was like, I need to brainstorm X, Y, and Z for the plot and just so that I know what's happening, basically. And she's like, okay, we can do that. And I was like, and I need a freaking name for this book because I've just been calling it Peyton, and I have no idea. It's Peyton's book. I don't know. And so she read it. She alpha read for me because I got to a point where I wasn't touching it for months. I thought the story was broken. I got in my head about the last release, and I was just like, I don't know what to do with this book. I don't even know if it's salvageable. I had 75,000 words, and I was like, I don't know if I can use this. So I was telling her about that, and she was like, I'll go in, I'll read it for you, I'll tell you what I think. And then she was sending me like live updates, like, you have to keep this, how I would like jump this man, or like I would do bad things.
I would too.
Like,
let's get in line.
I'm like, hey, let's get in line first.
At the same time,
I remember Beta
reading
reading
my husband,
the other one.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And so between the two of them and like rereading it, and they're like, no, you don't have to get rid of this. We can rework. It was timeline issues. And it was because I was being too concise. On Friday, they did this. On Monday, they did that. And she's like, just take that out. You don't need that. The reader can like put in their timing for however they want to look at it, whether it's a day or a week or however long. You don't know. You don't have to put that in there. And I was like, oh, epiphany.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So I removed my own blocks and got out of my own way just by taking out some tags for what day it was.
Oh, that's great.
How
That's
long it had been.
That's like an
I was
easy
gonna say something
fix,
so
but
simple, but
it
you
probably
needed
helps
someone
so
else's point of
much.
view to point that out, and
Yes.
how great that she was able to do that for you and then get you
yeah.
motivated to go back to it.
I was so stuck in my head. And so because she had read the story, she knew who these characters were. On Monday on our drive back to Raleigh, we were like, all right, let's come up with a name. And so I pulled up my computer as we're driving, and she's driving. I'm passenger princess. Like, this is great. And we just start like, no, I always drive. So this is like one of the only
really?
Yes, I am never a passenger princess. So for me, I was like, this is great. I was just a princess all weekend. I didn't even have to plan where we were going. I didn't know where we were going actually until like a week before. Sent her a message and I was like, I know I'm flying into Raleigh, but like, where are we going on this vacation? It's like, okay.
You're like, are you kidnapping me?
What's happening?
No,
What's
I was
going on here?
volunteering. I was like, I'll show up, just pick me up, throw me in the back. We're good. I don't care. I just need to write. Like, give me some time. So we riffed off of each other. We came up like we would kind of do association games. Like, well, you know, the first two are this, the third one's this. Would you like think about this or whatever? And so we got into like sweet cream for a little while because she drinks the sweet cream diced coffee.
Yeah.
But it sounds a little like jizz, so we're like maybe not. That. So.
I would have thought that was
100%.
a little bit of a weird title.
Which, I mean,
I
yeah,
won't lie to
absolutely,
you.
it works with my books, but we're like maybe not on a cover. Amazon might be like, what is this?
You might get flagged
like,
right off the bat.
You're like, actually, I think this is erotica.
Yeah,
and not so much.
And then they would
contemporary.
absolutely like ban me and wouldn't be able to search for it, and that would be terrible. I don't want to be put in erotica jail. I'm like, I still have a story.
Yes.
I still have a story.
I have plot, I promise.
You're like, hey, there is actual drama and some stuff going on right now.
Honestly, despite kind of some of the nature of the characters in the book, like this probably might have the least amount of sex that I've written into a book, which is so weird for me. I don't know. I might have to go in and like add different things here or there, but I was just like, what the heck? And it's just because the female character is so guarded, and he is very, very patient, and he wins her trust.
I love a patient man.
So it was a very unfortunate for me, because I didn't want it to be a slow burn. I want this to be like hot and heavy from the beginning. I was like, that's his character, his motivation, whatever. And then he was like, nope, I'm going to win her over like the way she needs it. And I was like, damn it. Like, get in the bedroom.
Like, actually, I have a whole other idea for you, so that's what we're going to go with.
Yeah, so I'll probably have already kind of released the name by then, but I'll tell you, it's the Southern Submission, which kind of works well for our journalist female character as well as our dominant male characters.
Love it.
So I'm having fun with it. I want to like shout it from the rooftops right now, but I'm like, I have to finish the book first. So.
You're like, hey, I have to keep some secrets for a minute.
Hey, I'm not good at that. I don't have that. Like,
Neither am I.
I'm just
like, I want to tell you right now. Let's talk. Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm like, oh, I want to tell you everything, and I get really excited to the dopamine hits too. So.
Oh no, me too, all the time. And then I'm like, oh yeah, you have to. That's not your secret to tell. A lot of times too. I'm like, oh, gotta keep that. That they even said it in the email that you have to post it at this time. Okay, so I know that was. Oh, I mean, about your new one, but I kind of want to go back to the beginning, honestly,
let's go back.
and talk about, how you got started. Like, what were you? Were you a big reader before you were writing? What were you reading? How did you get into writing? Like, what led you to Taste of Bliss? Like, how did you get from reader to this right here?
Yeah. I should have brought my copy down.
It's okay.
We could all hold them up at some point together.
We're just like,
I have them, I promise.
You do. I know you do. So, yes, I have always been a big reader. I started reading romance probably earlier than I should, thanks to my grandmother, who I would stay with in the summers a lot, and I would be bored. I was a very imaginative kid, very, I wanted to entertain people, but also, I played by myself a lot. So I would probably tell her, hey, what can I do if I'm bored? And she was like, here's a book. And she ended up handing me V.C. Andrews and Nora Roberts and different the grocery store paperbacks, and I was like, okay, sure. I think I'm in 4th or 5th grade at that point. So way earlier than I should. Some dark and twisted stuff, especially because V.C. Andrews at the time was dark romance. I would classify it as. That was part of it. But then I read age appropriate stuff too. Babysitter's Club, Nancy Drew, Sweet Valley High, all of that.
But how cool that's what your grandma was reading. That's awesome.
My grandma was just like, here you go. And I was like, grandma read this.
Oh my gosh.
My
grandma would never either.
Talked about it.
Now my mother would. My mother would read anything.
Your mom is all about it, isn't she?
Yeah, she really is. We haven't really talked about it, honestly,
we haven't.
Here, which is fine. But yeah, my mom reads more than I do. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about that, honestly.
Okay, my mom reads some, but she likes to stick to the small towns or sports. Those are her.
That's cute.
Oh yeah, my mom wants to read the filthiest Y choose, M times a million Fs, which is great, and I no hate to anybody. That's where her and Britt bond, and I'm just
we make sure each other knows what's out and needs to be read.
I'm like, do you guys want to cry after you read a bunch of sex? I'm over here if you're ready.
I've got those recs.
But my grandma, who we call Nanny, she would never. She would never.
Whereas my mom reads all my books, and she's usually I really like that one.
I love that.
She's fun.
Was that uncomfortable for you?
No, not at all. Not at all. Actually, she was really proud. My mom's always been so great about telling me how proud of me she is. She stokes that praise kink in me, I guess. I don't know.
Hell yeah, she did.
We love a good girl.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, we do. We thrive on good girls and constant praise here at Smut Daddy Podcast.
Yes, I'm all about that. So I went to school for journalism and mass communications, wanted to be a music writer, kind of realized, this was the early 2000s, that maybe print media was sort of on the decline, and saw the writing on the wall before I fully invested in that career, and hopped out of college and went to beauty school. Then I got my cosmetology degree. But I still loved telling a story and being entertaining in some way and bringing people into my life. So I blogged.
Oh,
so
nice.
I, blogged about cooking. I blogged about running. I blogged about my life. Whatever happened to going on there, I just wanted to tell a story and kind of bring people in. And I would get these random flashes of inspiration about a story idea or characters that would kind of just walk in fully formed into my head and be like, hey, here's a chapter, or here's character descriptions. And so I would write them down as just hey, maybe one day I'll write a book.
Yeah.
We'll see, very imaginative brain, just always thinking about those things. But I never finished anything. They were just this folder of unfinished documents, maybe a couple pages. I've gone back sometimes and I'm like, who wrote that? Was that me? I don't know what that is. I don't remember that at all. But in 2012 or so, Amazon opened up self-publishing basically, and so I have a lot of friends that got into the self-publishing game, and then Kindle became available, e-readers were up, and we saw just this huge shift in the way books were presented and the way you could get into the industry change.
Yeah,
and so it kind of was the inciting incident for me to be well, why don't you write the books like that come into your head. Why don't you finish a story? And so I think in like 2013,
Absolutely.
I challenged myself to finish a story. And so I had an MMA romance. I thought it was really cute, but it was like the worst thing I've like ever written, but I finished it. So I got through like finishing a book, which is why I tell people all the time, like as author advice, just write the story. Like you can't edit it. You can't make it better. You can't do anything with it unless you've actually written it.
Absolutely.
And I'm a testament to that because I have that like giant document, like the folder of all the documents of unfinished things, and like I couldn't edit
I have
them.
that folder.
I do not have that folder because I
Yes.
do not have that gift. So, but I will read you guys left and right. Promise.
Perfect.
I don't know what I'm doing with that. I'm your early stages. I don't know what I'm doing with that folder, but things
okay.
keep going in the folder.
Yeah, that's totally fine. And that's exactly kind of what happened. I knew like this story that I wrote, and then I followed it up with a second book from another character within the first one that I'd written. It was like pulling teeth to write that second one, and I was like, okay, so these really aren't great books, but it really taught me how to finish a story, how to get through it, how to write long form versus just like some sort of short kind of a thing. And I put them away and I said, that was nice. Good job. Like you got through it. That was pretty bad. But at least you did it. And then
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's no small feat at all.
Not at all.
Just
Yes.
literally hitting like go live on Amazon, like you published, like it's there. Like I think
Yes.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
I know sometimes we all look at the numbers and stuff, and I'm not even, I'm nothing. But I know I see it a lot, like on Threads, especially with indie authors right now. Like it just isn't like I feel like I didn't do enough or this or that, and that's where I'm like, no, you did it. Like
Yeah.
you published a book. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's like actually
a small
crazy.
amount of people who say they want to write a book actually do, and so it's like pat yourself on the back if you can finish that.
Yes.
I mean, I had those
Absolutely.
too, and a couple years later, it was about a year later, I was like on a trip with my husband, and I met up with some friends, and they brought in like a life coach, and we did a vision board together, and it was like a guided vision board
Nice.
exercise.
Fun.
Yeah, we had just moved to Texas. I didn't know anyone, so I put like make friends and go on an adventure or do triathlons. I had a bunch of different stuff, but one of them was to like write a book I actually want to publish. So that went on there. And this was like October of 2014. And then the next month was National Novel Writing Month. It's November. So I was like, this is the perfect time. I put that on my vision board. I've been looking at it every day. I might as well use this month where there's so much like momentum that's built up, and people who are also kind of running this race with you to sort of give you that accountability and motivation. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So I wrote A Taste of Bliss probably like 3 weeks.
Oh my
You're supposed to
gosh.
write like 50,000 words in a month. Yeah. So I either write fast and furiously or not at all. So it's like 3 years.
Weeks?
Oh yeah. Well, the Bourbon Bride.
I mean, I know
wrote
that
in,
was
like,
the first
2.
draft, but
I wrote
for
it in
a
2
whole
weeks.
book.
Yes. Yeah. And I wrote 80,000 words.
That's
in that
crazy.
one.
I'm like
Britt.
mind
She's literally
boggled right now.
crazy.
Like I can't even fathom that.
She's like 2 weeks. I'm like, 2 years. It took 2 years.
Oh no!
For me?
I'm telling you, like it took me so long to actually finish the other stories, but with that one, I gave
That's
myself
great.
the grace to like write about what I knew. So I wrote about a hair and makop artist, write about a location that you know well enough.
my
It's
gosh.
San Francisco and wine country. Like I was like, okay, make up some details, whatever. Well,
Cosmetology, makeup
Yes.
artist. That's close to my heart. I mean, it's funny
Yeah.
because actually we're very similar in a lot of our little life paths. And so when you were like, hi, I went to cosmetology school for this, I was like, what? I was like, my first career was not
Yep.
also cosmetology, but then I ended up there, and then I ended up in the book world
I
as
know,
a
right?
reader, but here I am. There's all these weird pipelines that lead to the romance world. One of these days, Britt and I need to make like a huge board and be like, which one,
flow
where
chart.
did you start? Yeah, which starting point were you out of this?
It's like that meme with all
For
the
sure. I love
strings being
that.
connected.
He's like, it's right there.
Yes.
But yeah, so that was my first foray into it. I published it the following spring, so it was published in April of 2015. So the main male character in A Taste of Bliss has a younger brother. So Talon's the main male character, and then his younger brother Griffin is the main character for Drift Heat. So I also introduced Shelby, who's the main female character in Drift Heat, in A Taste of Bliss. So both of them get introduced in the first book. They have their own book. I introduced Wyatt in in Drifty. So like I like to kind of bring them all along, and it feels like you get to stay with the characters and the people that you know, and it's like it's familiar. So yeah, I put that one out about a year later.
I think that's a good transition too. So like you went from, I mean, I know he had a brother, but like where did it come from? I mean, like, is this already a hobby? Was it like a bigger trend at the time? Like, I'm just wondering, was it something that's a bigger trend at the time? Like, I think that's where I kind of was surprised when we like first met you and you started telling us about your books and you were like, I wrote this like 2 books. I was like, what are you actually talking about with, especially to me and Britt? We're like, what? What about?
Like,
what do you mean? What do you mean about cars? I'm not really sure. You're like, I don't really know anything about how to drive. I hate driving. I am the passenger princess. So I was like, and these are the old covers just for our
I just
visual.
changed them. I don't have them yet.
Same with, is Taste of Bliss getting a facelift? I love the cover. I won't lie to you.
I'll show you the original.
I love it. That's why I'm glad.
Yeah.
I was like, I love this cover. Please don't change it, but I was asking.
This is my friend Jen, and these were cover models. We took their pictures in my hallway, I think. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I did her hair and makeup, and I was like, so we did a whole photo
That
shoot
is
for
iconic.
it.
I love it.
But it's
That is
so
honestly the
not
best.
on brand now, so that's why the new cover works so much better for that book. But
no, I'm actually really glad because I love this cover. I think it's beautiful, and I did like these, especially with this. But I like your new covers.
Gorgeous.
I don't have them yet. Sorry, folks. I don't.
No, I don't
but
have them
they're
either.
beautiful.
It's okay.
Love them. Maybe I'll throw a graphic up, or you can go look on her Instagram at them. They're gorgeous, stunning. I do love them.
That makes me so happy that you like them. That was my first time trying to make my own cover.
I know, and she made them herself, you guys. I can't.
Yes,
they're
so impressive.
No, they're beautiful, and I'm not kidding. They're so good.
And they do fit with the stories, even though it's not all like.
And that's what you were telling us.
Yeah.
So tell us tell us how you got into it, and then tell us about the story, because these are the only 2 that we haven't read so far yet. So
Not a problem. I'll tell you a little bit about them. So I have been kind of car world adjacent since I was about 15. Started with a high school boyfriend who was into car scene. And,
Classic.
Always a high school boyfriend.
Of course.
I wasn't supposed to be dating him.
Right? Oh,
I know it.
And in Peyton's book, this, the Southern Submission, Ainsley has an ex-boyfriend who features quite heavily, and he is 100% based on that same boyfriend. So when you read him, like if he comes off really douchey and horrible and you hate him, please, thank you. I appreciate that because he was awful.
You're like, good, I got my point across.
I succeeded on my goal.
Trauma dump. Yeah.
People are like, so why do you keep making the guy, the villain, the same name? You're like, that's none of your business, actually. It's actually none of your business why they're all the same guy. Thank you.
Pretty much. So car world adjacent, would go to car meets or the races. Fast and Furious came out when I was in high school, and so of course that was big for everyone, street racing. Yes. So always kind of been in the car world, regardless of kind of what area. And then when I met my husband, he was going to like races and street racing and stuff, and then he met me and he was like, I'm going to be safer, we're not going to go to that anymore because I don't want you around that danger. I was like, oh, thank you. But we would still go to like parking lot meets and like hang out with people, and it's so silly, but it's fun.
Isn't it funny how husbands always tame you? They're like, hey, I know we met this way, but now we're going to rein it in.
With Drifty, and when I wrote A Taste of Bliss, I wrote in Griffin as a drift racer, and that was part of his little role in A Taste of Bliss. So there's a little scene where he's drifting or whatever, and I was like, I really love this idea. Formula Drift has been around forever. It is the American Drift League, basically. And so that is the professional drivers who drive sideways.
That's cool.
People are like, what is drifting? It's such a niche sport. I'm sorry. It's not NASCAR. It's not Formula One, which is why there are only 2 of these books right now, and I had planned 3. There's not a 3rd book, but Carter Ramsey, who would have been the 3rd main character, he is mentioned in the Bourbon Bargain epilogue, just as a tie-in because he lives in Atlanta. And I thought
a little piece of information.
I love learning new things about books we love.
Yeah, so Carter Ramsey is not part of the Smoke and Mirrors, like the race team. He is a competitor, and he the whole thing with this one is Wyatt gets into he crashes, and part of the reason he crashes is because he got bumped by Carter Ramsey when he was racing him, and so like that was one of the other competitors.
Bad boy.
Yeah, yeah. And so the third one is called Dirty Drift. And I would love to write that someday, but at the same time, it is the best blurb I've ever written, and I don't write blurbs. I definitely don't write them.
I feel like you
I've
hate blurbs and like
book.
wait until the last minute usually.
I hate them. 100%. Like I don't have a
need
blurb for
you
Southern
to
Submission.
email me that blurb.
I can read it to you right now. I think I even
an exclusive. Yeah, I want that blurb.
I have to find it. Okay. I had it like a little bit more expletive, but I've toned it down. So Carter Ramsey is a jerk, a notorious player. It doesn't matter if he's kicking butt and taking names in the American Drift League. He's the worst. And now he's paying me a crap ton of money to follow him around the drift circuit, documenting his races and events. Behind on rent, upside down on a car payment, and 50 grand in student debt. I don't have a choice but to be the glorified paparazzo to his entitled celebrity. If he so much as makes a move on me, I'm going to shove my $5,000 camera up his butt and let him shit his own photos. Mina Foster is a stuck-up priss. She's got a chip on her shoulder bigger than the blower on my car. It doesn't matter if her photos tell a story unlike anyone else. She's a wet blanket on the good time I call life. She may be the best photographer to turn her lens on the American Drift League, but I'm a grid god, the newest rock star in drift racing. I drive hard, party hard, and screw hard. It was fuck hard. Mina's working for me now. She better be ready to change her attitude because I'm about to show her who's boss. Playing dirty never felt so right.
Love it, Adrian.
So I was actually going to say, like, I could be wrong. I know I'm not in the world, but my youngest sister-in-law loves F1. But this is a newer obsession within the last 3 years, which makes me feel like it's back, baby. Like,
there you go.
Racing and all of it's back, and like. Our friend like Vesper loves racing in cars, so like I'm thinking that when you have time, like maybe you write that book, especially now because he is in the epilogue of like I didn't even realize. So now that you've made the connection, you're like, hi, and they have new facelifts. Oh my gosh. I'm going to bug you.
You should not have disclosed this to Libby.
Girl, I got your phone number, your address. I'm your PA. I know where you're going to be at. I know your whole life and your whole schedule. I'll get the book.
That's too funny. I would love to revisit that world. And I wasn't as big of a fan of Formula Drift when I started writing them. I was interested in it as a, like, I know what it is. I've heard about it. There's also Ken Block of Hooligan. He was a drift racer and did, like, some rally racing and stuff like that, too. So he would put out these amazingly produced, crazy videos of him doing what he calls Gymkhana, which was like driving through crazy streets of like LA or San Francisco off of like a cargo ship, like where he's doing donuts and then jumping off ramps.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, Ken Block is amazing. He recently passed away.
Like on
so
YouTube?
It's really sad. Yes.
Oh,
so if
that's
you,
sad.
I'll
that is so
type it out
sad.
for you.
I'm sorry.
Gymkhana, Gym, and then Khana, I think. And so that kind of inspired me as like, I love the way that was filmed and set up and kind of brought to the masses. So it wasn't just these two cars are racing sideways, you know, they're turning and they're racing this way. And so then I really got into researching because that's where my brain goes. If I have a topic that I'm interested in, I go down the rabbit hole and it becomes my whole personality.
You take that trip down to the rabbit hole.
We're getting into Formula Drift.
I love adopting new personalities to the series I'm obsessed with. It's kind of my favorite thing, honestly.
Yeah, or at least
always
I
have
want
a
to know
dog
as much about it so that I can be authentic when I'm writing about it. So,
which I feel like you can tell, honestly, in all your books. Like, you can tell that you... Because sometimes I'll be the first to admit you can clearly read a book if you know about the topic in real life, where you're like, hey... That actually doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
You don't know what you're talking about. Great story, though. I was just like, oh, but it makes it so much better because then
you can tell. I was going to say, you can tell when
so
authors know the subject matter of their story and when they're just trying to fit into what's popular. Sometimes, you know, I hate to say it, but like you can tell that they're just doing what they know people are going to read, and that's, I understand it, but at the same time you have to have some sort of knowledge yourself to be showed through the pages, and Adrian, I think you are wonderful at that.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Especially like you just took like a, you just said you took a little bit of like a like gap off, like before you went to on your little writing retreat. And I think that just tells you like you needed some time to get back into it or figure out where you were going. And I think sometimes people, I know sometimes you have to push through it, but sometimes taking the break and resetting, and then you're like, oh yeah, you're back in it.
Yeah, well, I think for
the
first 3 books of the Southern Gods series, like I put them out in such quick succession and was working on them so like steadfastly, and they were such a part of my life, and that was all I was doing. I was just writing. I got a little burned out towards the end of that one, and I just kind of needed to step away. And even like I'd had the Bourbon Bride, I wrote in 2019. I wrote it in 2 weeks in August of 2019, in between like semesters of school, because I was finishing up.
2-week writer, folks.
That one, just the Bourbon Bride. And so like I had the story, and I was like, oh no, I want to write the brothers' stories too. So I need to have at least the second one written before I start releasing. Otherwise, I'm going to be too slow, because I have a habit of that. Like Broken Drift took me 3 years to put out. Like I would put it down. I was going through a hard time with it. And then I went back to school, and I was like, I can't write this. My brain is in like academic side of things. So yeah, I went back to school because of this book. Isla, the main female character, is a physical therapist, and as I was researching for her thing, I went back to school for kinesiology and got a pre-physical therapy degree.
Look
with
at
a
you.
minor in biology. I was also a triathlete at the time, so she's an Ironman triathlete.
That's so awesome.
So there's a little bit of me in like
not
all my
runner.
characters.
No.
It's hard. But yeah, so with Bourbon Bride, I finished it and I put it aside, and then I didn't touch it for 4 years. So I was just like, great. Like I wanted something softer last summer, so I pulled that back out, because I was like doing DIY renovations on my house for 3 years. And I was
Oh my gosh, that are amazing.
I'm tired.
You are wickedly talented woman, let me just say.
Like, hobby that I went down the rabbit hole on, like, look, that make this my whole personality. I'm gonna be
that's a good one to go down.
For sure, like, especially because you are so good at it. I've seen. Yes, when you redid your stairs. Oh my gosh, my stairs. All of it.
But I was tired. My body hurt, and I was like, I think I've done the majority of the big projects that I wanted to in this house. Like, I just need a break. I need a soft girl summer.
Yeah.
So last July, I pulled that out, and I was like, I think it's about time I start writing on this one again. And so I was editing it, and I was like, I don't want to leave these characters now and go on to the second book. Like, my friend was like, you can write a second book with those characters, even if it's part of a series. And I was like, oh, I can. And I have a great place where I can chop this off and make it a cliffhanger. Like, I've never written a cliffhanger before, but now
that's awesome that you had it
Yes.
not be a duet at first, in that.
It was not. Lore Olympus is a webtoon. It's like a graphic novel kind of a thing that's done by Rachel Smythe. She's amazing, and she does this gorgeous art. I have a couple of her books of Lore Olympus, and it's based on Hades and Persephone, and it's like super beautiful art. So I kind of had that in my head, and I was just like, you know what? Like, what would the ancient Greek gods, because I'm a Greek mythology nerd, I was like, what would the ancient Greek gods be like in modern day times? And I was like, they would be billionaires. Yes. Like
100%.
Billionaires get like a slap on the wrist if something bad goes on or whatever. They can really get away with pretty much anything. And the same thing with the Greek gods. Well, the Greek gods would kind of get into scrapes or struggle with certain things, and they would get in trouble with the other gods. So like there's a little bit of like calling them to the mat when they did something wrong, but really there's not. And same thing with billionaires. So I was like, I should have billionaire brothers that are based on these Greek gods. And I was like, this would be amazing.
Absolutely.
I was like, they can, and it's Greek mythology light. So if you're not a nerd like me, it's okay. You don't have to be. You'll notice there's like the business is called Olympus International. He's got a nightclub called The Abyss with a rooftop garden called Elysium on top, like a little nods to
don't forget about Cerberus.
Not Cerberus, dog. Yeah,
he's such a good boy.
Because I want a king Corso.
And like tiny little things too, just like like the pomegranate. I don't know. I just don't. I just. He's like, hello.
This is Reed.
Hi,
baby. Hello,
I told you, folks, she's an animal hoarder. No, she loves all her animals.
That's the big one. He's like a medium.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a cat person, but I do love all dogs.
I like that. I like
Cats are more go with more of my vibe, you know?
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Yes. And with the Bourbon Bride, I haven't been to Georgia in several years. I've never been to Savannah.
Me
I've
neither.
had several
It is
people
on the
tell me
bucket
that,
list,
like,
though.
oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, I've been.
same.
It's amazing.
And
It's so
I had a few
beautiful
people
and
who were
all
like,
of the
oh, this
historic
makes me want to
homes.
go back there. You described it so perfectly. And I was like, phew, that was all my researching. And I don't drink
Yes.
bourbon. I don't think I've ever had straight
Me
bourbon
neither.
ever. I'm not really a drinker all that much. So the fact that there is like
Same.
a lot of bourbon in this.
That's no.
That's what I'm saying, but
talking about.
Mr. Smut Daddy is. So
Yeah.
I was like, wow, you nailed it. Because
I say
for
my
a bourbon
husband
drinker,
has so much bourbon, and
Yeah.
he'll try to get me to drink it
that's
every
funny.
once in a while, and I'm like, but do I need to?
No,
I don't need to
that's
do that.
fire.
So
I'm just really not a big drinker.
I mean,
I-
same thing happened with the Taste of Bliss. Like, I've got a winery owner in here, and like,
Now
I don't
will
drink wine.
I will, if I'm gonna drink, it will be wine.
I say
Probably.
There you
I have
go.
one glass of wine
He
and I have a
does name
headache.
a
So
pink Moscato after her.
Ooh.
Same. So Talon,
See?
the main character, the main guy, he does name a pink Moscato after her because of some barrel room shenanigans. So if that is incentive for you to read that book, it is the hottest scene ever, and I love it so much. So there's an oak barrel
we love
involved.
barrel room
Yes.
shenanigans. That's
Yeah.
that's the title.
I know, right? I have a little Valentine graphic that I made like around that said I love you more than the barrel room scene or something like that.
Cute.
Oh,
Yeah.
which is
It is.
commitment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Or with Drift Heat, Griffin and Wyatt like to dance with Shelby when they go out after races, and they put her in a dance sandwich, and she kind of gets off. So I had another one that said I love you more
That's-
than
I'm
a
like-
Griffin Wyatt dance sandwich.
I'm like,
Hello.
hello, that's Sister Britt. Coded.
And it's all very
tenfold.
forbidden because they're teammates. They're not supposed to be flirting or touching or anything like
Oh.
that. So yeah.
Uh-oh.
Adrian.
And there's almost a triangle, but it's
I
not.
see.
And I had people who were like, "Could you?"
Now triangle. We're going back to
I
the
love-
together?
Father Lib.
I'm like, oh,
Not at
I'm
all.
like,
No,
wait,
it's fine.
I
It's
love
not.
a good triangle.
I want sharing
But
is
there's a
caring.
lot of
Okay.
not names. Well, they share the dancing, so Britt,
Okay.
you'll like those scenes. So.
Love.
But yeah, so going back to the Southern God series, it was very much so vividly a part of my brain. Like these characters walked in there, and I had a few different ideas of how I thought maybe I would start it or who these characters would be. But then when I really started writing, it was like I could not stop. I would wake up at like 5 a.m. to write,
That's
4 a.m.
awesome.
to write. My brain would be on telling me the
Yeah.
story. And I was like, I am not a morning person. I am if I could get up at 9 a.m. every day, I would. I would stay up until 2,
I'm a
2
morning
a.m. No, I don't. So the fact that I was waking up and being fully cognizant and awake, like, please don't talk to me for the first
You're
hour.
in it.
I'm up. Like, I don't function. So yeah, the fact that like I woke up and would be like, I need to write their story, and I'd go in the office and I would start writing, and I could not stop. That's why it took only 2 weeks to write the original story.
That's so awesome, though.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's kind of like how they came about. And when I picked it back up again last year, and still very much was in love with these characters in this story. They're so fun. They are my favorite couple. So of the
I
series,
knew it
too.
I just love them. There's something so special about a morally gray businessman who is an asshole to absolutely everyone and doesn't care, who will do whatever he wants to get his way and doesn't care who he hurts in the process, to find a woman who is soft and gentle and sweet
Except
and
her.
he just wants to be better for her. She doesn't make him better. He wants to be better for her. I thought that was a really fun thing with them.
Yes.
And just like to watch
I
as
think
he grows.
I loved him up
Yeah.
until about
Yeah.
like this much, and then I was like, wait, I'm actually
He-
like, what are
He
you
is
actually
morally
doing right
gray.
now?
Yes, he
I've
is a
been
bad
rooting for you the
businessman.
whole time. So tell me, spoiler alert in case obviously anyone wants
I
to read
know.
it, but we are now going into major detail. So you said you knew, like, oh, I'm cutting it off here. So like,
yeah.
tell us the cliffhanger and like how you knew
Can
that
we
that's
just-
where
Yeah,
you wanted it.
well,
and
there
then
had to be the big bad, right?
what?
I just
what-
wanted to
what's up
say,
at-
I was not prepared. that there was going to be a
It's
cliffhanger.
not marketed as
Oh,
a
I
cliffhanger.
think
I knew
I think
there
that was like
one,
a self-imposed error, but I did not know. And when that book was ending, I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? I think I slid into your DMs and was like, what the
Purposely.
fuck, Adrian? What are you doing?
I
so
purposely
tell us
just
about that.
downplayed that and did not really say that it was a cliffhanger. I did
love
say that
it.
there was another book that was coming out. I did have it available for pre-order. I had plans. I had rapid release in motion, but I was like,
She's
I'm
a
gonna
Taylor
kill
Swift
them.
mastermind.
Something like that.
I
don't
literally
know.
love it.
Taylor Swift mastermind. That's awesome. So I cut it off at, the worst thing that could happen to this couple. This brand new, in love, just married couple.
Literally.
And, he steals her legacy from her, the only thing that she's ever wanted, the thing that she's been raised to, sort of take care of and to
She's
take
a
on.
hotel heiress.
She is. And he wants her hotel for his own gain. And so he goes through with that. And this is Haste.
What a bad
Well,
boy.
I'm telling you, he's a more
I mean,
great
he
businessman.
set a
Just because
goal.
he meets the love of his life doesn't make him exactly. He doesn't
He set
make
a goal
him
and he
better.
was like, oh, darn it. I wanted my cake and I wanted to eat others too. I'm like, listen, dude,
Yeah.
no.
No, 100%. That is
it makes
exactly
for
it.
a great
Yeah.
second book. Because
And
you
so-
know how much I love Groveling.
Yes. So of course there's that whole pulling them apart because she's sweet, she's innocent. He just ruined her life basically. So she's like, I can't be with the person who's
She's
gonna do
a
that to me.
virgin, folks. How
the
the
beginning.
audacity.
She is a
The
debutante.
audacity.
She is innocent and
She
pure
is
and good.
Very sweet.
I just...
Yes.
You're like, at the beginning, she still is his one and only. How could he?
I know. So picking it up with the Bourbon Bargain,
Yes.
I was just like, okay, well, one, he has to realize he was wrong. The first book, he doesn't think he's wrong. He doesn't think there's any reason to fight for her or to go after her because she hurt his feelings by
What
walking
a
out on him.
dick.
Yes, so he doesn't see his
Small peen club he got added to for a minute.
I did. It's okay.
Just for a hot minute.
Yeah, just a minute. Hot
Yeah,
minute.
in a figure of speech, not literally with the
Yeah.
measuring tape, folks.
Oh no, he was a bad dude, and I really wanted that to be the main thing. He wasn't 100% better just because he found a woman that he wanted to be good for. He still had
Right.
terrible things that he needed to work through. And
Right.
So the second book is all about them teaching one another, to be better in one way
But
or
can
another.
we give a round of applause to the
sweet debutante
brothers
page.
for getting
Yes.
his ass in
They
gear
were so
and giving
good.
him that come to Jesus chat to be like, dude, you messed up. You got to make it right.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, and as much as it pains me because I love Zanman Daddy, but that's where I knew I was like, hey, I think I DM'd you. I was either doing our beta read. I highlighted. I was like, hey, so, or no, it must have been in the DMs. I was like, hey, so is there another one coming?
Yeah.
We're gonna have more, right? Another. Who is this? What are you doing? What's going on?
Right.
Why? Hi, because I was like, I just knew we needed more. And then when you're like, well, it's actually going to be Zanman and it's everything you want, and I was like, oh well, actually,
Wonderful.
that's okay. Then when we got there and you showed us more, I was like, okay, actually I now love
okay.
this and I need
Yeah.
that. I need 4 as well.
I'll give it to you. Don't worry. And all the brothers are so very different to write, so they're really fun. But with Bourbon Bargain, it was like, okay, how do you get these two back together? How do they overcome some of their struggles personally? And so she teaches him empathy and how to care about others, and he teaches her how to stand up for herself and not be such
Yeah.
a doormat because she's absolutely a pushover and a people pleaser. So he helps her come into her own, and she helps him see that other people matter.
I know. I love
Yes.
Paige's
Pretty
growth
fun.
in the Bourbon Bargain and
Yeah.
standing up to
Yeah.
others that have walked all over her.
Her mom
be on
is
the
quite
list.
the character.
Hurricane
Now,
Caroline.
did you know that this is kind of where she was gonna go the whole time, Paige?
No.
Did you? Or no,
No.
I was kind of wondering. Not that you can tell in the story, but I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes with the ebbs and flows of it all, it's either
Yeah.
oh, I had no idea and I had to 180 it, or you're like, nope, I knew exactly from the beginning.
So originally, the Bourbon Bride had ended with him groveling. He came to her apartment in Savannah and like apologized, but it was a really quick like, okay, now everything's back together. So I chopped that off and said, this could be better. You can grovel more. She can make you work for it. You can't find
Always
her.
grovel
Where's
more.
your bitch? Like, where'd she go?
Literally. You better hunt for her.
Exactly.
Sir.
So then he has to go find her. And I had written a little bit of what would become Xander's book, The Southern Thirst Trap. And so I ended up taking some of the like plot points that were more for like the business and the brothers, and I added that into Bourbon Bargain. I was like, I wrote that, so I get to steal it from one book and put it in the other one.
Absolutely.
And I was like, that's what I'm gonna do.
I loved how we got more into it, though.
Yes,
Like, I loved seeing that side, especially how you did set it up so well to keep going with
100%.
everything
I
needed.
hope so. I try to leave some threads open, and I love that they have this business and that they're brothers that are 1 year apart each. So they're really close in age. They work together every single day. Two of them are way too much alike, and one of them's a meddler who likes to stir the pot and get them to fight or tell them not to fight. So like they come to blows a little bit. They're definitely a different kind of family business, which I think is so fun. Somebody said, if you like Succession, you'll like Succession. I was like, oh, really? Is that how you look at it?
Absolutely.
Okay. Or Things You Never Got Over, Lucy Score, I think is the one.
Yes.
It's like between that and Succession, they're like, you like these ones, and I was like, thank you.
I think that's actually that's a great one.
I've not read Lucy Score, so I
"That's
can't
so nice."
confirm or
I
deny.
haven't either. I also haven't seen Succession.
I
so
have.
I have no
I have
idea.
seen Succession.
Okay.
100%.
But I love it when people can make those connections and say, well, if you liked this, or if you're a fan of this, then you'll also like this. And I'm like, you're better than me. I don't make those connections. So yay.
It is helpful too, just to maybe your brain
grow
to,
your
like,
audience.
connect it in different ways.
No, that's awesome.
And then with Southern Thirst Trap being Xander's book, he is
Love that
fuckboy.
man.
I call him a fuckboy most of the time. I do too,
Listen.
because it's so fun to reform a playboy, someone who is just like the worst of the worst, spends one night with a woman and he's done with them, you're out with the trash, we're done. But you get a woman who's not really giving you the time of day, and you're just like, well, fine, now there's a chase, I want more than one night, like we're gonna make this happen. And you put two incredibly attractive, brilliant people together for
This
2
is
weeks
one
on
of
an
my
island.
favorite
Yes,
betas
it
I've
was
ever
so
done.
good.
It was amazing
Without a
having you
doubt.
guys beta
I'm
read
like,
that.
she's getting such broad spectrum of responses during this
Yep.
beta.
It's perfect.
I clearly know this is your newest baby. Number one, we love this book so much that our wonderful, lovely, beautiful friend Adrian, she dedicated this book to us.
So amazing.
And can we just take a minute to say, like, that's probably one of the coolest things that has genuinely
so
ever
cool.
happened to me.
Never
ever.
thought that would happen,
I literally
ever.
tell everybody. And I'm like, hi, like, this book is dedicated to me. Did you know that? Did you know that everyone gets to read mine and my best friend's name in the beginning of this book? Don't skip that page, okay?
Don't skip it, yes.
No, I love this book, obviously, for all of the tropes, clearly. It is so Libby coded in tropes, but honestly, I love this book
Single
more.
mom,
because
reformed playboy, vacation
Brit-
romance.
Secret baby, I love
Exceptions.
Secret babies. Listen, Brittany,
Yes, I was like, I know you
Brittany-
don't love this. Let's
she
hear your
loved this book
unguarded
though
feedback.
too, and I think this is where people will be surprised. Where the roles were reversed, folks.
Yes.
Britt became a girl's
did.
girl, and I was like, listen, bitch, for the first time ever, I'm going to tell you that man, you better stop talking to that man like that. You better quit. I was like, Brittany was like, what's going on right now?
I'm
Like,
not
I
ready
don't-
for this role reversal right now. What is happening?
You're like,
For real.
well, she texted me. Also, spoiler, clearly, always spoilers when you're listening to us talk about books. She texted me and she was like, I think we're on the same page. Like,
Yes.
she's awesome. Badass mama, which she
Yep.
she is. Like, she's incredible.
Yeah.
But of course, then I was like, actually, I was about to text you and be like, hey, we're on the same page. Why is she so annoying to me right now? So that's why I was like, how do you even fall into any of these? So how did I even fall in love with them? How? And then Britt's like, no, we're fighting on this now. And I was like, okay, well, we're never on the
not.
same page. When
That's funny.
I think we're gonna, well, we are a lot of times, but every time I think we're gonna be on one,
maybe not.
We're always on the opposite. But I think that that's still so cool that I love when we get to beta read and then it's this like we love all of it and then we're like, but we have this little bit of difference because I love showing people all the time that we can be best friends but different.
I
But
love that.
did you have you obviously have done beta reads before, but how was it with two crazy people being your beta readers for this one?
It had been
Did you
years
enjoy?
since I'd had someone beta read and kind of get
I know,
into
Britt.
one of my stories. So I trusted you guys implicitly. Like, you were the only two people I went to, and I said, hey, can you read this? Give me some feedback. I want to know what's going on. I want your, like, just all the unhinged like reactions. I wanted them all. It was fantastic.
Unhinged.
It was very fun. I loved it. I loved making the unhinged reactions into like motivational, like inspirational photos. But with that one, I knew you guys knew these characters and you knew the stories and you'd been such wonderful supporters and so impactful in my writing journey and getting back into the publishing space after a 4-year hiatus. So I was just like, I trust you guys so much to like not only read this, but to give me honest feedback, which you did. Like, I know Britt and I had a little bit of a fight at one point. We were going over something. She was like, I am not into this one. And I was like, it's okay. We don't have to be, but I will change this.
Don't change. I was like, don't you change that. No.
But you did. You tweaked it just a bit, and I appreciate it 100% because I think it just it made me feel better, and I'm like, you know what, maybe someone else will be thinking the way I'm thinking, and it the smallest thing made it the world, and I'm just like, oh my god,
it did.
And that was
And
so
that's
cool
why
too
I
because you
needed
like
that feedback.
took my opinion and like actually made changes, and I
well,
was
we had a
just-
conversation.
yes.
We had a constructive
did.
conversation about it. I said, okay, so
I
about
was
this,
not a part of this conversation.
No.
we were
I was
fighting.
probably like, I see.
There
I was
were
like,
a lot
I
of
see no
DMs and
problem.
voice notes going back and forth between Adrian and I.
I was probably like,
what
I
I
see no
realized-
problem here, and
Yeah,
Brittany's
yeah.
wrong.
No, what I realized though is that, and this happens for so many people, and you'll probably notice that in like reviews and stuff. An author's intention doesn't always come through in the writing, and if there is something that is ambiguous for the reader, or they call out, like as a beta reader, you called something out to me that was ambiguous, and I was like, no, the intention was this, and I was like, but I didn't put that across well enough. So it was really great feedback to hear how you took that, and then be able to make those changes so that I can have that clarity and not kick the reader out of the story because they'd be like, I don't like that, and like, oh yeah, because that wasn't the intention for that particular scene or whatever it happened to be. So you were invaluable.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it took away from like, because I got like when I was reading it the first time, I was like, oh, got it. But then I don't think it took away anything either. When I was rereading, I was like, oh, it's literally it. You know, it just a couple more things, and you're like, oh, flow's still great, and everyone's
you give
happy.
a little bit of details, or you change a few things. That way, it's just clear.
I said, yeah, you
no
didn't
longer,
change
like,
anything drastically. Like, it was still the same
No.
concept getting across.
Absolutely.
You just phrased it a little bit differently so that it was,
Yeah, because my phrasing had been like just done just off a little bit, and so then it wasn't coming across well for my reader, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to run into that and have reviews be like, I hated her, or I hated him, or I didn't like this scene, and be like, I see why.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Like, I'm a sensitive artist and author and writer, and so my little heart is always on my sleeve, and so I do get my feelings hurt, but at the same time, like, I like constructive feedback. I can understand rational, like, thought. So if you can convince me and tell me why something needs to be changed, I will get on board. I'll just cry about it a little bit, and then
same. I was gonna say, I feel like we're all the same when it comes to that in our emotions.
I will actively be correcting it while crying and like, you were right, and I should have done it this way the first time. I know, I literally will be fixing something and I'll be like, they were right, you know, it's fine.
Yep. And
I think it's nice though to hear that
it's later though, like, and be like, that was the best thing to do. And I'm glad somebody called me out on that, even though it was uncomfortable in the moment. Like, you only get growth when you're uncomfortable, so why not experience
I
it
love
from
hearing
someone who
that,
loved you?
Adrian. That is so good.
It's so good to hear for like new authors, any authors honestly, like to rehear, or new authors trying to come out or keep going, but also I think for readers to hear that like authors are sensitive to number one, and
100%.
like I think sometimes, and I'll be the first to admit, so we definitely put authors on pedestals. You fall in love with your favorite author, or they get bigger and bigger, and more people start loving them, and you hold them on this kind of, I mean, celebrity pedestal, which, and I think we are all working on like these parasocial relationships, even though I think in the book world it goes a lot different, but I think it's a good reminder.
They're
Like, hey,
people
like, they're
with real
human too,
feelings
like,
and real
like,
emotions.
Yep. And
they can only
like,
write so
and
fast. You know, can take me 6 months to write a book and then 6 hours for you to read it.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
Like, and honestly, for someone like me, like truly, and I hope authors know that. Well, I hope everyone knows, like, if they're all, everyone has feelings, and we all need to be more sensitive, I think, sometimes when it comes to it.
Or, you know,
Because-
like, I've learned to remove myself from spaces that aren't really, like, great for serving me and my mental health. So, like, I'm not allowed on Goodreads anymore. And, you know, like, I try not to go into my reviews on Amazon if I can help it. Although I did laugh at a 1-star review. I was like, this is hilarious.
Did you?
Yeah. I was like, gross. Oh my God, I'm laughing.
You're like,
at this.
I'm not. You're like, I'm not crying.
No, I was like actively laughing about it. Like, this is hilarious. It was about the Bourbon Bride too, and I was like, yeah, okay. That was like literally one page or one paragraph of things, and it was like their whole review.
Right.
I don't like this, and I was like, oh,
All right,
You're like, okay, well, I feel like.
don't read this too.
Right.
Have you seen this? Have you seen them? Like, they turn like your 1-star reviews from your favorite book into like a meme or whatever. I always love those. I'm like, oh, I do understand where that thought came from, but I'm still gonna love it and read it.
Oh my goodness, for
Which,
sure.
Libby, I don't mean to segue off a huge topic, but I saw 1-star that you put out this week on Goodreads.
I did too. Oh God.
Oh.
Well, you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Can we take a segue?
Let's take a 5-second. Yeah. I'm like, if Adrian doesn't mind, I will gladly always take a segue. Listen, folks, honestly, it's always like the random one-hitters where I will get like the most DMs and slide ups and like things commented. It was this week was this one. Honestly, most of the people were like, this is fucking hysterical. Like, literally, and the fun. And I didn't even think it was that funny until people were like, "Did you?"
I giggled.
Like, it's actually like hysterical. So for everyone wondering what's going on,
You're solving it.
so literally, Brittany can attest. Every day since January 30th, I have logged into my Goodreads. I have pulled up my Goodreads app, and it says currently reading. The third Crescent City, and there's been no update progress, not shit, because I literally never turned the page to go to chapter 40, and I created my own cliffhanger.
Yes.
I now know what happens in the rest of the book, like from social media and stuff, but I created my own cliffhanger, and still never went back.
Beyond.
9 months
I
later.
kept telling Brittany, literally,
I know.
a whole fucking pregnancy later, I was like, hey,
Maybe this
I don't
isn't for
like
you.
this book.
Yeah.
I was like, I literally was telling Brittany for what, 9 months. I was like, I'm gonna finish this book.
Yeah.
I will finish it. It must be finished. I will do it
You're
for
not a
Rowan and
quitter.
Aylin. I was like, I can get through anything if Aylin can be in that fucking box. Like, I can
my
do
God.
this.
Awful.
Yeah. No.
I can't do it. And so I, as of September 4th, said, currently reading?
Nope.
No, that's 1-star, and I DNF'd it, and I have never gone, and I just didn't even think anything of it. I was just like, hey, like, this is, I knew it was kind of funny, and I was like, hey, like, look, and I posted it, and everyone was like, this is hysterical. Like, why did you wait so long?
That's a long time to
literally
take to pull that trigger.
Yeah, and you got out of like the fervor and the release buzz and stuff. Like, I think that helped carry me through because I read all 3 books like back to back really fast.
What's
What's
even funnier is I believe it said something like, this is a softy enough. No, it's not. Like, you literally, you've never picked it up again, and you actively shit on this book every chance you get. Like, you're not picking it back up.
It's official.
I DNF'd
I haven't even started it. I haven't even started it. I'm like, I was at the point where I didn't even want to start it because I wasn't emotionally stable to be done in current all SJM.
Yeah.
So I was like, nope, I'm not going to start it just yet. And then ARCs happened, and then the next month, and then the next month.
And then it
just keeps getting pushed back, and I'm just like, well,
at some point you might
maybe,
pick that
but for
up.
right now, I think I'm okay with leaving it sit because what I've heard has not been great.
Literally. And I know that I just said,
like your DMs for books 1 and 2, and I was like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, this, or oh my gosh, that. And so you were kind of walking me through the first 2, and then I got to the third, and you're like, oh no, you're past me now. And I was like,
You flew right on by, and
I know. And with this one, I was like, oh, it's going to be fine. Like, you'll pick it back up. And, like, I know I just said, like, oh, I don't like finishing things. But that literally wasn't the case. This is her worst book she has ever wrote, in my opinion.
long.
And I will own it. That is my opinion. But I was like, whoa.
I was entertained by it, so I was
like,
fine.
somebody get me back to fucking Terracin right now. I was like, I'm gonna read. I even told Brad, I was like, I'm rereading ACOTAR. Fuck this book. I was so over
I did
it.
just do a reread of ACOTAR, so that's what I did instead of reading Crescent City 3.
So, and my first reread ever of Tog is going to be starting in like November. So I'm just like, you know what? We'll just forget that like Crescent City, besides like book 1 and half of book 2, even exist right now. That's what we're pretending. But that's my little.
Sorry, I
random
didn't mean to
1-star.
drive us off course, but I just
That's
popped
fine.
in my head about that 1 star.
literally
We
just
did.
Talk about it.
I guess I knew it was funny, but I don't know. I guess I wasn't ready for every other person to be like, Libby,
In there.
what the fuck? And of course everyone was like, this is the most Libby coded thing. And I was like, I think I should take offense to this. Like, by the 4th person, I was like, are you guys making fun of me? I was like,
Oh,
wait. No, I knew they were. But I was like, okay, like, I tried. That's the people pleaser in me. I fucking tried, damn it.
She really did try.
I literally cannot look at it when I log in any longer. So we're starting September. Well, halfway, a little bit. Like, I mean,
We're into
starting
September.
into it. We are fresh now. It's not on there, and Lordy, I think that's hilarious. I love it that everyone thought it was funny
Yep.
though. So thank you for my humor.
Love it.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I also have my ADD's terrible. Where literally
Yeah, sorry,
where
we
were
were talking about.
Gosh, I derailed us too. So I mean,
No.
where do we want to go?
That's honestly what this podcast is. Every episode, we're going on side tangents. If they
I
don't
think
like
we were
it-
talking about
I have
beta
ADHD
feedback
too,
and that you
like-
took yourself out of
Yes.
social media spaces like
of the
Goodreads
best
and
faces
Amazon,
that
but
are
you
not
came across a
great.
1-star
Yeah.
that made you laugh. I think that was what my brain recalled. So
Yeah.
that's all I can contribute
Oh,
to
yeah,
this.
thank you. Perfect. That was perfect. You brought us right back around full circle. So. But yeah, so that's growth on my part for being able to laugh about that. Growth on your part for being able to put a book down that you don't like.
Yes.
You can DNF it. It's
Oh
okay.
yeah, I won't lie. I think probably the first 3 months was because I was like, everyone's gonna think I hate her. I don't. Like I love Rowan. I was like, what do you mean? I love Rowan and Aelin. So I thought but then I was like, then I just was like, forgot about it, and then I was like looking at it all summer, and I was like, I hate
Should
you.
I finish
I
No.
literally hate looking at you every day. You're ruining my Goodreads life.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Goodbye. And those are the voice memos or text Britt would get from me, and I was like,
Yeah.
she'd be like, just DNF it. I'd be like, I can't. I literally can't. But on a random September 4th, I
We're
was
done.
like, I
You
can.
had the power to do it. Yeah.
I mean, I know we talked about the newest one coming out some, and I don't want to give too much away,
We can talk
but
about it a little bit. Yes.
I want, like, can you give us, like, something that you're not supposed to tell us yet, but, like, you're going to
Yes,
tell us because you
we're your
love
favorite
us about
people
it?
ever. Please and thank you.
Please.
Yes.
Even if it's little,
Yes. Okay. So we'll talk
like
a
a
little bit about
nickname,
this.
like anything.
Yes,
Like,
I
I
can
need
definitely
something,
tell you about
please.
that.
Yes, I'll
So
put it in my notes app for my nicknames.
I was like,
What is it?
I'm like,
I got
I wrote
it.
that one down for you. Please ask nickname.
So Peyton is the least known of the 3 brothers. He's also the middle. He's the one that stirs the pot. He kind of meddles in everything, and he's also the peacemaker when he needs to be. So we don't know too much about him other than that, like, he's kind of a genius. He's techie. He is like the master of spin for all things PR with the company. So he's got 2 very different sides to himself, and you're like, who is this dude, right? Like, I don't know.
A little bit of underlying darkness or
Yes, there is a little bit of
edginess, I
darkness
wanna
to him.
say.
He's a golden retriever, but he has. And Jillian and I were talking about trying to figure out like what to call him. We're like, he's not a cinnamon roll. He's like a gas station honey bun that's been on the shelf for too long. That's a little on the crunchy side. Like he is not soft all the way through.
Love.
I
he's so
am literally
sweet.
I am making you a graphic that says meet our man, and that's his description. That's what we're gonna
Gas
put
station
out.
honey
That's
bun.
been on the shelf for too long.
Maybe expired. You never know.
You
You're
know?
like,
No,
is
definitely
you're
not
like
expired. he's gonna,
Not
he's
expired,
gonna
but
really like make you
crunchy.
happy to have the sugar like rush or whatever, but like maybe it's a little harder to get through than like a fresh baked Cinnabon, right? Like he's not sweet and
That
gooey.
is like the perfect description. I could so vividly see it at the 7-Eleven.
Little like weird plastic coated like honey bun thing that's shelf stable, and then fresh made Cinnabon. So
I love
Peyton
it.
is, like I said, he's a golden retriever, so he's very effusive, very charismatic, very in your face, which goes against everything that Ainsley, our female main character, is, because she's a black cat. She's got this very prickly personality. She's had some trauma in her past. She doesn't date, and there's a reason why. Like, she's like, get away from me, you annoying man who smiles at me too much. And he was like, I love all the mean things you say to me. Like, give it to me. Like,
Say
he
something
loves it
meaner.
to mean
Say
to
it
him.
again.
He's like, yeah, please,
he's
will you
like,
please be mean to
tell
me?
And he just takes it. He's like, I love when you say mean things to me. You know, it's just as good as when, like, you know, you say good things. He's all about
like, oh,
that.
He's got a little bit of a degradation kink, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Ooh.
But we find out that Ainsley does, and she actually calls that out to him. She's like, "What is like? Why do you like me when I'm mean to you? Do you have a degradation kink?" And he's like, "No, it's not one of my kinks, but do you?" And he like pinpoints it to a T, and she's like, "Oh no! Like what? I don't have that."
She's like, I'm actually learning
are
a
you
lot about
talking
myself
about?
right now.
Wait, what? Who, me? No, I don't want to be called a tongue or a call. Because another
I am
fun
so
thing
ready,
is
Britt.
Peyton is a pleasure dom. That's what he does in his like secretive little I'm away and not doing things.
My 50 Shades of Grey heart is screaming at that flogger. Thank you.
Oh,
Literally,
yes.
thank you. I'm so excited.
In this book, we really use kink, BDSM, the dom-sub relationship as a way to heal from trauma and to experience
I love
emotional
that.
pain and get through it through physical pain. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like how to regulate and how to sort of process things that are going on in your
Yeah.
life that you've repressed or pushed down or do not want to deal with in the moment. He's making her deal with them. So he's actually growing her as a person
I love that.
emotionally through this connection that they have, which to me was like so
This is
important
so
to
great.
share. Yeah, you guys didn't read that far, so
No.
you didn't know that. So
I'm like,
I told the story
hi.
quite a bit.
Hi, I am so
Yeah.
excited.
When are you going to be ready to send that
Right.
our way? 'Cause
We start turning into the bestest girls. We're like, hi. We would like, we want that beta. We love
For
you.
sure. You were definitely on the short list of people who would get it. For sure.
No, we
Yes,
take
no
your
pressure.
time. Obviously.
We just-
love to hype.
yes.
we just love to hype you up. Honestly, it's our favorite thing.
I booked my editor today, so I do have a date to get
Oh,
this to
yeah,
her.
you were
So
saying that.
That means that I have to
Congratulations.
finish it and get it to
Exciting.
you and then edit.
Yes.
Thank you. I was surprised. She's my favorite to like work with, and I never our schedules just never align. And so the fact that I reached out to her and
Yeah.
she had a cancellation and was able to get me
That's
in, like
perfect.
I think I manifested it because I was
Yeah.
like, I want to edit in October, but I didn't want to set any dates for myself. I just asked
Yeah.
her, do you have availability? I'm like finishing up a book. I have a few more steps before I'm ready to give it to you. Like, what does it look like? Normally she'd
Yeah.
be like February, and I'm like, I can't wait that long.
Yeah.
So, and that's really
There
why we
is
haven't worked together the last
obviously-
couple of books. So.
There is obviously no rush. But do you are you trying to put it out this year, or are
I
we
would
going?
like
Is this a
to.
2025 project?
I think that if I can get this edited and turned around, I can get this out about the same time that the Bourbon Bargain came out last year, which would be like early December, like
Yeah.
mid-December.
That would be
Oh,
perfect.
well,
Like
that
a
would
great
be
full
such a
circle.
fun-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full circle
Yeah.
moment.
So the whole
Wow.
series would come out within like a 1 year time, and I think it would be fun. And I'm just trying to like not put too much pressure on myself because that's when like my
No,
creativity
there's no
dries up.
pressure. Like we
You're sweet.
pressure you guys, but it's just in good fun. You could take. We don't want you to take 2 years,
We
but
would
we
still
would still
be
be
there
hyping
waiting.
you up the whole
I don't
time.
want to do that again. I don't want to have
So-
another broken drift 3 years to like
No,
publish it thing. I
absolutely
think
not.
so.
But you take the time that you need because these are your babies. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I can't believe though that it's coming. This is already coming to
No,
an
I
end.
hope
This
so.
series.
Well, and that's the thing.
Wow.
Like, my worlds don't really like close off.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. They're not like a hard close.
Yeah,
I love
so
that you keep it open.
there's a
which is
spin-off
a great
series.
thing. I'm like, which is a
Let's
great
go into
transition.
it.
before we go there, you asked about nicknames.
Oh, yes.
And you wanted to know
Please.
about
Yes.
nicknames.
Please, we want to know.
Peyton gives lots of nicknames to Ainsley. The first thing he calls her is Muffin because she doesn't like him saying her full name, like Ainsley Montgomery, and she's like, "Why do you keep calling me
I
that?" And
literally love that.
so she had a muffin on the table at the coffee shop, and so he's like, "All right, Muffin," like whatever. And so she's just annoyed by it because it's cute, and she doesn't like things that are
I
cute.
know, I love
And
it.
she has
Yeah,
no
so
time
she's
for
very
that cute
prickly, and
shit.
so I don't like that.
I don't think I've read
See, I
Muffin.
don't think I
And so
have.
every
I
time
read a
she gets
muffin?
sassy. You've heard
you're about
Muffin?
to
I was to say, I don't
You know,
think I've
you're
had
about to pop
muffin.
our-
I'm adding it to the list.
You're
I'm
popping
not
our
even
muffin-
joking.
Cherry. Yeah, you're
so
popping our muffin
funny.
cherry. I
Oh
have
my
never
gosh.
read. I'm excited.
So that's
Does
one. He
Wait,
gives her
I'm
three.
like, does he have one?
Yes.
As well?
Ooh.
Yes.
I love men nicknames
She
too.
calls
I love
him-
it.
Yes.
I'm like, I love exclusives about your book.
So he calls her Muffin as a way to like kind of annoy her, and he knows
Yeah.
that it irritates her. And then
Yeah.
she gets frustrated and sassy. She's very bratty. So he calls her Spitfire because he's like, God, I love it when you're like all
Yeah, I
feisty
love
like
it.
that.
I love
Spitfire. So he calls her that.
I love it.
And then once the degradation kink kind of comes around, he's like, "You're gonna call me daddy, and you're my princess." So, yeah.
Yes.
That's like
So
one of
when
my
he
favorite
gets into,
combos.
like daddy mode, that's voice drops, commanding, like it goes into dom mode, like yeah. So
Oh God, I truly do love it when
And he's
I love it when they're
great.
like, call me daddy, and I'm like,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
I will, thank you.
his
What
inner
else do you want?
monologue at one point is like, "Oh yeah, after I saw that reaction from her, she's gonna be calling me daddy." Like,
Yep. Thank you.
I was like, "That's funny."
Oh, those are actually great. I'm not only a Spitfire great, but why am I obsessed
I'm
with Muffin
too.
great?
I'm like, I don't have a muffin
like,
yet.
Yeah.
can't get over it.
And he kind of explains to her the differences between doms and things like that. And she's
I
like,
like
"What
that
kind of
you're-
dom are you?"
Giving everyone a little bit of a
Yes,
lesson
yeah.
too in it. Like I like that we're all exploring it together.
Yeah.
I really
So
do
he kind
like
of talks
that.
about like what a soft dom is, soft dom, like service dom or pleasure dom or whatever, and like the main focus of them is their partner's pleasure, and their fulfillment is through their partner's fulfillment. So they don't have to get naked, they don't have to come. Like it is
I
all about
literally
her.
can't wait for
I
this
love
book.
this
Yeah.
so much.
I feel like he's. Like, I'm a little worried for Sandman all of a sudden. I literally had not one worry, and I'm like, hi, you're about to be dethroned.
Sorry about it.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's definitely become my favorite male main character to write
For
of
obvious
the three.
reasons.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yes.
Well, he's got like my out there personality and stuff, and so I was like, oh yeah, I can totally jive with that. But then I was like, oh no, he's got dark side, but he's so patient and like he is
I
willing
say
to
this
work.
man is so well rounded. I just love it.
We love
Yes,
patient men.
yes.
Okay, so you said he's becoming your favorite. Like, who was your least favorite? Who do you think you struggled?
Yeah.
With anyone, girl, guy, like, did you find that there was just someone in particular you were like, I don't know how to write this?
No, honestly, I think all the couples,
That's great.
they just like were my friends in my head, and I needed to tell their story. Like they were not hard to write. Every once in a while, I would hear their voice differently than I had earlier in the manuscript, and I'd be like, oh, like with Harlow, I didn't have her posting thirst traps until I was like nearly done with the book, and I was like,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
hold on, like she's a social media baddie, like of course as a former model, she would
Yes.
be posting these
Yeah.
crazy thirst traps, like. And so
Absolutely,
I added
with her
those,
hell
rockin'
yeah.
body.
well, I mean, curvy awesome mama.
Yes.
But like so that just became a part of like how authentic she is as a character and as a person, and she just like, this is who I am. I love myself. She's also my favorite
Yeah.
female character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's great. Like if I could be
I feel
as
like you shine a lot
uninhibited-
through
Yeah.
her.
Oh, I love her.
And a lot
she's
of just
so
the things that
strong.
you like, and I do see
Yes.
a lot of you in her.
Oh, that's very nice. I wish, like, if I had no inhibitions and I was in a different place, or like that would be like, I wish I could be more like Harlow in that sense, kind of a thing. But I'm like, I'm so glad I
Yeah.
got to write a character like her who is still
Absolutely.
sensitive and gentle.
Yep.
This is me.
Yep.
Right? Like she's like not going to take your criticism because it doesn't matter.
Yes.
So she's so
She's
grounded
such
in
a
who she
badass.
is. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
complete without a man, but then like she's completely herself. So like I like
I
her.
love that she makes that so well known. Like you make that so well known for her. She's like, I am.
She is
complete,
secure
like, I'm
in
enough,
herself.
I'm happy.
Yes.
Yes. With
Yeah.
her and her relationship with her. So and then I
Yeah.
just am like, oh my gosh, but I like the way that you're like how you did change her mindset, but like not in a drastic, immediate light switch. I like that
Oh,
we
no,
still had
he
to
had
go
to
through the
work.
journey.
Yes.
Prove to me though. I mean, that's for part of the times where like I was getting annoyed, but now I see it clearly. I'm like, but. I love
think
that
I
we
had
had
to
to all go
reassure
through it
you
together.
at one point.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like,
I was like,
keep
I was like,
reading.
I'm like, hey, I'm all for girl power, but like, I thought we liked it too. Like, I was a little confused for a minute. But I did like that we had to go through all of that together.
I wrote it just in the present timeline, and I got to a
Yeah,
point
oh.
where I was like, there is no sex. Like, what is happening? Like, I need them to like each other. Like, all it has been is, like telling the story currently of like him having to grovel and prove to her that he is worthy of her affection and her family and her time. Like he wants to be back in her life. And I was like, you know what? Like, I need to show how they fell in love. I need to show what caused this big divide that is
Yes.
making him work so hard. And I was like, oh, we're going to go 5 years in the past. And so then I started adding
Were you writing
in.
it? Were you writing it more like referring to the past without actually
I was referring
describing
to it.
the
Yeah,
past?
I would be like,
Yeah.
like at one point he
Did you
said
have a
this,
prologue, or like you were
basically
just all referring back to little snippets here and there?
My prologue was just like Xander's inner monologue about who Harlow was and kind of like why they had gotten together and why he couldn't be with her. That was it. And, like,
Okay,
it was
yeah.
gonna be a
It did
prologue.
change because the dual timeline is
timeline.
It is perfection.
One of my
I
favorite
didn't
things
know
that I
if I
read.
could do that or not, but I was like, oh dang,
It's
that worked out
perfection.
better for the story.
It made so much
So
sense,
I'm
like
glad it
when
worked.
you
And it was
flash
done
back,
flawlessly.
like it just it flawlessly. It
Thank
went
you.
and
Yep.
moved the story forward. It's crazy to say like going backward moved the story forward, but it did.
Yeah.
It was nice to see.
Yes.
It did.
But it did.
It worked so well.
And it was exactly when you need it, because sometimes I do feel like where I will read stuff and the flashback is like, oh, like, okay, like I think you took me out of the moment.
Yeah.
But it was, I feel like Britt and I were checking in like every time we were like, this was exactly where it needed to be. Like I now needed to know what you just referenced.
Yep.
Yeah.
You nailed it. I mean,
I
we
did a
were
lot of
hyping you up
callback
with the
with that book.
Yes.
And I don't
But it was
normally
done
put
so
those in there.
good.
So it was like, oh, we're going to make a callback here, and it's going to kind of jog your memory, like, oh, hey, I've read that. Or like, I kind of
Yes.
knew when she'd gone through that. And you're like, oh, this is why. Like, I get that
Yes.
now. Like, oh, okay.
And then
So-
when you did it like a third time at the end with like the final switch of everybody,
Yeah.
it was just. I loved it. I love it. We both loved it. This is a great book. They're all our
So
be-
good.
Gosh, I felt so
That-
hard. I felt
feel
so
like that
hard.
was like my best book I've ever written. Like the story was
It's
just
so good.
exactly what I wanted to put out. The characters were people I
Makes
love.
sense too, right?
Yeah.
Like every book you probably
Better,
hope
yes,
is
you're
better than the
learning
last,
and
and you're always
improving.
growing.
Yes, you do grow and you do improve with every single book, but this one was just like special. Like I felt so
It
I was
is.
so like guarded with it. Like I was like, I hope people like Harlow because she's such a strong character. Female
Yeah.
readers can be a little bit less forgiving of female characters when they're strong. They're far
100%.
more forgiving
Oh.
of male characters when they
Yes.
mess up
Yeah.
or when they do anything
Yes.
bad. They're like, it's okay, we can get past that. When a girl messes up or when she's strong, they're like, she's a bitch. And I'm like,
I
don't
never
want Harlow
got
to be
that
seen as
vibe
a
from
bitch.
Harlow though,
Just
and I
very
am
strong.
very
No.
honest
No.
and call out when I see it in that sense. And I did not ever get that vibe from Harlow.
Yeah.
I didn't.
I do think it's funny though too, because like I am a female apologist. Brittany will tell you, like, I'll be like, I'm pretty sure she did no wrong, and then Brittany will be like, actually, she did, and I'll be like, actually, if he had a penis, you would not be complaining about it, so I don't want to hear it. So I think
That's
it's too
funny.
funny that you say that, and you do
Yeah.
see that a lot, because I feel like sometimes I'm screaming like, hi. Where I thought we loved females, we loved
Yes.
them. What are we
Yeah.
doing? But then I mean, I really was the opposite. I was like,
That's so funny.
which I know you're worried about it, but I do think it wasn't in a bad way. But I was just like surprised myself. I was like, I can't believe how much I love this man. I fell in love with the man. I was like, I
Yeah.
fell in love with another man. This is crazy. But it wasn't like I hated her though, and I think Britt can like
Yeah.
attest to that too. Well, and you with comments, but it was more of just like I see it too clearly. Like I need someone to not be thinking so clearly for a moment. Okay.
Yeah.
I did literally
so
say to
good.
someone today
I
though
will-
in a DM like that a female FMC can make or break a book, more so than
Yeah.
the MMC for me. Like you said, like I think I am saying that I am more forgiving of MMCs.
No, I'm
but
trying to
FMCs
think.
are the
I'm
ones
trying to think,
who
but I
make or
think
break
you're
the
right.
book for me. If I loved the book,
Yeah.
it's because I love the FMC. I love the MMC
Oh, I
too,
like
but
that.
like I love the
So-
FMC, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I do think you're right
Yeah.
because the books that like have become my full personality like I love the man, but like I just use Tog, it's easiest. But like I
Yeah.
love Rowan, but like I love Aelin.
Yeah.
Aelin is that I love you. You could take Rowan out, and Aelin is just Aelin, and everything's the
still a
same
strong
without her,
character, you still
and
like
she
her.
ends up alone just as queen, and I was like, slay, perfect series. She's so awesome. So I do think you're right though. Like as
Yeah.
much as but I am always hyping up. I mean, I am too much of a girl sometimes, but I do think you're 100% right. Because if sometimes if you find the right female, even though we always want an HEA, I'd be like, okay, but like you could be alone, and what a slay that would be. Like you're so happy.
If you like that, read a Julianne book. Like, she'll.
Oh yeah, I
she'll
have
mess with
before.
your
I
head.
mean.
Yeah.
No,
I
thank
want
you.
my
I will
HEAs.
pass.
I'm just saying.
Me too. I'm like,
I'm just saying. If there are the females we love so
Yeah.
much, we'd be like, you'll find him.
So
Yeah.
you have to write the characters that are right for the story, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me when did you know Hayes was gonna buy a hockey team?
Well, the brothers, all three of them, Olympus is buying a hockey team.
Yeah.
So it was basically, I guess this year, before I put out the Southern Thirst Trap, I went to an AHL hockey team, like a hockey playoff game. We won with Ashley Warren, who's another author who lives near me.
Love her.
And she's a big hockey
Stop.
fan.
I
She's
love her.
lovely. I love her. to
Love,
death.
love.
We just gave her and you flowers
yeah.
in the last episode.
Yes.
We love you guys.
Love it so much. I love that. She's wonderful and is big on sports. And I told her, I was like, I kind of want to branch out and become more of a sports person because I think I want to write sports romance. I think I want to write like hockey romance. And she's like, let's go to a game. And so we got playoff tickets, glass seats right by the penalty box. It was the best experience for me ever because not only was it a playoff game, they won. The hockey boys came over and did their stretches right in front of us. So they were humping the ice. And I was like,
This is
amazing.
what we want.
I was like, okay.
I've
Pressed up
been a
against the
diehard
glass,
hockey
like-
fan since I met my husband, and I was like, thank you. Honestly, thank you
Are
so
you
much.
a Blue Jackets fan?
Yeah, Blue Jackets, clearly because Columbus.
Yes.
Hi, Ohio. But I am a die-hard Jackets fan, and
Yeah.
so when you were like, hi, by the way, like, I love hockey, I was like, let me tell you one thing or
Right?
two. We just became a lot
Listen,
closer.
I am a Blackhawks fan, and I will go to a game, and I can understand hockey. And we did go
we
to
went to
one,
one.
yes, when we had our meetup. But I'm not watching it on
Oh my
TV, and I'm
gosh.
not dedicated. I don't know any of the players, but like I at least understand
Yeah.
how the game is played.
So I'm watching, I'm going, and I am
funny.
heckling. I don't even know what personality becomes over me when I watch hockey. It's
That's
insanity.
funny.
I
That's
love
too
it. So
funny.
I love that you're falling in love with it too. And then
Well,
you
you know,
actually
it's
to
one
go.
of those hobbies that becomes my whole personality. So, like
Oh,
that game was
get
awesome.
it.
I caught a shirt. I told Ashley, I was like, this is it. We're going to all the games. Like, because there's this
How do we get
AHL team,
season
like, right,
tickets?
the theater team. And, like,
You're like, we're season ticket holders now.
I tried. I contacted the main ticket manager and I was like, so hey, I'm a romance author. I'm gonna be writing a hockey romance thing. Can I get special discount? And he was like, no. But I do have
I'm sorry.
discount links for individual tickets, so I could do that, but not season tickets. I was like, so I'm thinking about this, and he was like, no. He's just gonna brush me
Hey,
off.
the individual discount is
Yeah.
nice though.
Yeah. So I have to actually follow up with him this week now that individual games are released. I've already bought two games worth, and I'm like, come on, hurry up, send me my discount.
Gosh,
we're
I love
going.
hockey.
So
Okay,
yeah,
so you were
it's become
doing
my whole
so you're
personality,
going and
and
did that.
yeah.
So
And
were
then
you
I was
already
like, I know
wanting
how
to
I
write
wanna
this
do
series?
I think I was like, I wanted to go into sports romance next. I was like, that
Yeah, okay.
it works. I mean, my racetrack romances are sport-y or sport adjacent.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them sports romance so much. But I was like, I like that fast-paced, kind of fun. Put a professional sports guy in there. I think it would be neat. And I like
Yeah.
hockey over baseball or football or something else. So I was like, let's go there.
You're talking to the right girl right here on this side of the screen. I can tell you that.
6'4" with knife shoes, and they carry weapons, and they skate.
They're
like 70
all
miles per
hot.
hour, and
They're
they
like
punch
so
each other.
hot.
So yeah, that was kind of the inciting incident of like, for sure, I'm going hockey. I'm tying it into this series. The brothers they have the capital, they have the money. They're getting into real estate development.
yeah.
They're gonna build this whole arena. And they're gonna own the arena. They're gonna buy an
They're
NHL
making
franchise
it big in Atlanta, even
even
bigger.
Oh,
Well, yes,
I'm
exactly. And Atlanta
here for
hasn't
that.
had an actual NHL team since like 2010 or 2011 or something like that. So it's been a while. It's time. It's time
Yeah.
that they brought it back, and they
I
see it as like
love it.
their next venture kind of thing, because the brothers are always doing something different. So that is
I
factoring in
know.
heavily right now in the book that I'm writing, because they're working with city planners and trying to like not have their plans that they're expediting be cut off due to some extenuating circumstances that are happening. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I obviously know this
I
is
can't
a
talk
major.
about that.
I'm like, I know you're a major work in progress. Do you have anyone's name picked out?
For the guys? For
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hockey? Oh, yes. I have everything for them.
Oh.
You don't have
so
to give us everything if you don't want to, but I'm like, I
No,
would
no.
love anything you'll give us, because like I love your books. I'm like,
So,
give me more.
I can't give you, I don't have titles of
No.
them. I have
No,
tropes
no,
and I have
yeah.
characters. So book 1 is Reformed Playboy by Awakening, MMF, Sharing and Sharing, Childhood Friends to Lovers. The hockey guy is Ryder Fitzwilliam Kingston. He's a goalie. There is a redacted person who you will know from another book in the series, the Southern Gods series. So
Listen,
I am very excited to write that.
yes.
This one. Book 2 is
I'm like,
brother's best friend. He's a bad boy. It's a secret relationship. She's a curvy female main character. It's always
oh
been
my
you.
God, she wrote that one for me, clearly.
His name is Weston Poirier. Sorry, it's French. I don't speak French. He's a center, and her name is Bianca Bishop. She is a therapist, and he can't stop fighting people on the ice so much, like that he's an enforcer.
He's
that
a
his
goon?
Coach, yes. So his coach is like, you need to rein it in with this temper. Like, you're gonna get like thrown out of the league. Like, the league commissioner is like, stop it. Like, knock it off.
Oh,
so
no.
he says, you need to go have anger management, like counseling. You need some therapy. And so he goes to his best friend's sister, who happens to be a local therapist, and that's how they connect.
I fear
Love
that,
that.
this will be my favorite, because I cannot believe that you're making a
He
goon
thinks
go to
she's
therapy.
going to be more forgiving and sign off on it because she knows him, because she's known him for a long time since they were kids.
I
think
so
that actually
excited
works. Like,
for
he
that
should
one.
be
And-
even more worried because she's not going
She
to.
busts his balls. Yeah, she absolutely busts his balls. And so yeah, she makes him confront his issues with his past that have driven him to like anger and resentment, and like makes him
She's
overcome
like,
that.
you have to stop dropping your gloves on the ice and
Pretty
start
much.
dropping the walls around your heart, sir.
I'm gonna write that down. Note it down, Libby. I'll talk
Please
about
do.
it next
Please
time.
write it down. Oh, I mean, I told you.
I feel like
love
she's going to
hockey.
have a lot of insider knowledge because of all
Yeah,
the
I was-
history that she's
Absolutely. Well,
been probably like adjacent
literally-
to.
open up because she's lived a lot of it with him, or at least knows
Yes.
a lot of what
Oh
he's
my
gone
gosh, he will be my favorite. Lord, I will text you all about
I love
anything you
that.
need.
Book 3 is Enemies to Lovers. She's a team photographer.
Love.
He's
Classic.
obviously a player. He's a single dad. It is forced proximity because they have to work together, basically.
Shit, this one might be my favorite.
Maybe you might have spoke too soon.
His name is Sebastian Montenegro, and he's a winger.
Damn it! I'm worried about him. He's a winger.
And her name is Emery Watkins, and he has a kid named Enzo.
Oh, and
Enzo.
Yeah. Enzo.
I have a thing for single dads.
Yeah. I was like, that'll be fun.
I love them.
And then book 4 is a reverse age gap workplace romance, Grumpy Sunshine. She's a home renovator.
Oh, I
and
love a
he's
good
just got
HGTV.
called up from the minor league.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he
Just got brought up from the minors.
This is his first like big money like contract kind of a thing, and so he wants to redo a home, and so he brings her in, and she's just like chaos. She's too loud, too obnoxious. Like he wants
I love
stability and quiet, and she's over here like knocking down walls and kind of thrown him off. But she's got
Stability
some
and quiet.
major issues with trust and abandonment and
Typical.
intimacy
I love
issues
it.
because of her ex-husband and something that went on with him. So he
A new man to enter upon my punch list?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was one of those things where she thought she knew him, and then something comes up and realizes that she never knew him at all.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
how could
Oh,
she
coming
not
in
be
with
enough?
a heavy hitter.
And she had no idea in their 8-year relationship that he was looking at this stuff, gathering this stuff, talking to other people about it until the federal, the U.S. Marshals show up at her door and cart him away.
Boy.
And so she's like, why wasn't I enough for you? We've had this great relationship. I thought we had a great relationship. Why would you still need that if I wasn't, I guess I wasn't enough. So she's got the intimacy issues. She can't trust anybody because she's just had the rug pulled out from underneath her.
Yeah.
And she testifies against him and says, yes,
my
I
God.
found all of this stuff on his computer. People were calling or trying to talk to him through his cell phone or whatever. This is it. So when he gets out, he kind of becomes a stalker, and he's a problem.
no.
So,
I cannot wait to cry while I read that book. I'm so ready for it.
Because I'm I don't want to write you right now. You're heavy. But yeah.
You're going to be a lot.
I'm
but
really excited for that,
it.
though. That's going to be great.
I'm excited about that. And each of the female characters has an active nature sort of nickname. So the first one, her name is Victoria, I think. So you guys can help me. You can help me pick a name.
Love
How
it.
about that? Okay, so I have 2 names that you can pick for. So first one is Vittoria or Tori Tornado Pasqualino.
Okay.
So that's one. She's a tornado. Or 2, Lila Wildfire White. So what do you
Lila.
think? Do you like Lila or do you like Victoria?
Lila, absolutely.
Perfect.
Wildfire.
I will highlight
An exclusive right here from the Smut Daddy
Love it.
podcast.
You're right. You
Yes.
just named a character for me. Thank you so much. Because I was like, I don't know. So hers is
No,
Wildfire.
those
The
honestly
second
are
one-
both.
They're both great,
Those are
but-
great.
Lila
Both really
just
good.
hits. Yeah.
But I do really like yeah.
That's so funny. The second
great.
one, her name is Bianca, but she's Blackout Bishop.
Yeah.
Oh,
Little bit
yeah.
fun. And then Emery is Earthquake. And then Camille, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you what her name is. So the last couple, Wilder Jameson and Camille Perkins, and he calls her Chaos.
Oh, nice.
Because she's absolutely chaos
Yes.
to his life.
Literally, yes. Those are perfect.
I'm so excited for
I
them.
want all of them.
Me too. I just have to get through Peyton's book and then, start writing that one or the whole series. So,
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
No
'cause,
rush.
I've really immersed myself into the hockey world. I've read lots of hockey romance, trying to get a feel for it, and then just instead, I don't really write like other people. I write like me. Then I'm also all right, let's dive into this. Let's learn more about the sport. Let's follow players. Let's figure out how these franchises are run and ask questions from people who actually work in hockey.
I love that you do that much
equipment
type
manager
of
through
research
social media.
and depth to it. That is so awesome.
Oh yeah.
Because I know we said it before, but you just deserve the flowers because you can 100% tell who is writing for a trending TikTok trope and who is taking the time, and it doesn't matter if it stops trending. This is the book.
Oh, she got into hockey romance because it's popular.
No.
It's no.
I don't
is
think
popular.
that's the case.
I
It
do
is,
like
but I don't
it,
think.
But
Yeah, I don't get those vibes.
And if
from you.
anything, I almost feel like
You're
it's kind
amazing.
of tapering off, and so the fact that you're getting into it is.
Okay. I'm always slow
Yes.
to
Not-
a trend.
but no,
so
no, but
it's okay.
totally on
You're
brand.
doing what you feel is natural to your story. You wanted to go into sports,
Yeah.
and it just so
Yeah.
happened that this is it. And so it didn't matter that it was a trend or not. It's where your story is going.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's also
We'll have
so
fun.
hard to write and put out a book, so
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
fine. But are you someone that tries to now? So you're wrapping up Peyton, and you know your next 4. So in the back of your mind, are you now trying to figure out where you go after hockey, or
No.
do you not worry about it? You wait for the idea to
don't
come.
worry about it. I was a little bit worried about what I was going to do after Southern Gods because I was like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, I could add some supporting characters, give them some. Rex is going to have a novella, so he will have a little bit
I
of a novella.
can't wait.
He's an anti-hero. He's not like a full-on mailman character hero. He's an anti-hero, but
Yeah.
he's a side character that's going to get his own little story.
Right,
It's
he does not like
We'll
him.
just keep our thoughts
It's okay. You don't
about
have to-
Rex to ourselves.
Yeah.
I do. I want to
Listen.
read that novella.
That's
You know
funny.
me.
It's going to be high on spice, low on plot. Just
I mean, I am here for that.
I want to read that.
I'm still gonna read it, but that man.
Maybe turn your mind around on him.
Yes.
I know he's scared Paige, and so you're just very.
He's in the
anti-
doghouse.
You had stalker tendencies, so. Yeah, for
just
sure.
misunderstood.
No,
Don't
he was creepy and stalky, and it's not okay.
Super creepy.
No. We're our men
stalker in the bad way.
No,
apologists.
it was not in a
Yeah,
good way. It was
you're
the
stalking in
bad
that
way,
way.
you guys. The
No.
bad way.
Definitely that way. Yeah.
We like him. We want his novella.
I will eat it up. I
I'd say
will
that
still
Talon
read it and
was,
love it.
The best kind of
Way wrong.
stalker. Like, he was like a light stalker tendencies, but in the best way. And I'm like, that's the kind of stalker you want. You don't want Octavius Rex, who's following you around and creeping you out in
Speak for
parks and
yourself.
I was in your DMs during that whole time. I'm like,
You're
I am
the one
getting
that's
these
like-
awful vibes right now. What is happening? I didn't know this was a suspenseful type
I
of read.
remember that one. You're like, Adrian, who is this guy who keeps here?
And I'm like, Adrian, I left my window open for Rex. Do you think he's gonna come?
There are two types
He's
of
such a
readers,
creep.
you guys.
I love it. Yeah, for sure. We got them
We
right
will be
here.
having a whole red flag episode. Don't you worry.
Yes.
No, I love
it's
it.
so
I'm
funny.
excited for everything
Yeah.
that you have coming and
So
planned.
who knows
You're
what'll
just
happen
you're amazing.
after hockey? Because I didn't know
Yeah.
hockey was coming until I was like 3 books into this one, almost to book 4. Like, oh no, I'd already finished book 3, and I was working on Peyton, and I was like, you know what? Like, there's gonna be hockey next, and these guys are gonna buy a team. Like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. But for a while there, I was like, what if my
You're like-
creativity dries up? Like, I
That
have
is
nothing
just
to write.
mind-boggling to me because
who
I'm
knows?
thinking like you just rattled off so many details about a 4-book series, and
Literally.
you just recently came up with it. So I'm
Yes.
just like, what in the world?
I keep adding to it, you know, like it started, I was like, okay,
But
4
that's
books,
good.
and I started with tropes only. I was like, okay, what do
Okay.
I want each of the books to have trope-wise? For me, I found
Okay.
with the Southern God series, I started, my first 3 books I did, and I, like, tropes were like a bad thing back in the day. We did not like tropes. We didn't like when people said, this has this kind of trope. We're like, ooh, no. Like,
Oh,
so
okay.
now that tropes are so much, like, more embraced, and it actually helps a reader find a story that they want to read because it's familiar to them and they like that. I'm like, oh, absolutely. So with Southern Gods, I was like, I know I want Billionaire. I know I want age gap. I want her to be a virgin. I want him to be morally gray. I want it to be a marriage of convenience because she's running away from an arranged marriage.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted
Yeah.
these things, right? Like, I wanted this fun Gossip Girl / Lady Whistledown kind of feel for, like, all of the series to, like, run through
I love
it. That has a big part.
I love
in
the
this
Atlanta
book, by
Hoyt
the way.
list. That
Yes, I
is one
like
of my
it.
favorite elements to it. I
Thank
love it.
you. It is so fun for me to write. I get into a completely different creative flow when I write the hot list stories because I have to write them almost like TMZ or a gossip site, and so it's like there's more alliteration.
Yeah.
There's more like
Yeah.
punchy kind of sentences when it's like I'll write more formally or to whatever the characters are doing when I'm in dialogue
Yeah.
and within a character's head for a different story. So
I love them though.
So fun.
Especially because you can plug in so like
Yes.
a really important piece of information, like
Yes.
real quick too. Like,
Yeah.
by the way, spotted
And
or
they were
something. I'm just
spotted.
like,
Exactly.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shit. I'm like, things just escalated really quickly to the public
Yes.
eye, and I love that like tiny. I mean, there are
Little
obviously
bit.
angst and stuff, but that little extra bit of this like drama that we all eat up. We all
yeah.
eat that up, and I'm just like, thank you. Like, thanks for
Well,
giving
it's
me like my
an
little Kardashian
omniscient,
random moment.
like gossip blog that sees everything,
Yes.
and that's holding them
I love it.
accountable. That, you know, like it's one thing to, you know, have these billionaires who are kind of running their own lives and doing their own things and being morally gray, to know that
Yeah.
somebody is looking over their shoulder and kind of calling them out for their bad behavior or, you know, alleged bad behavior. even.
Allegedly,
Yeah.
yes.
You know, like alleged. They do plenty of bad.
It's
on
all
their own, but-
alleged when it comes to these billionaire men.
and they're considered
Till the picture
entertainment
comes out.
on the hot list, right? Exactly. Until there's but it's fun to sort of write those and have those be a part of the whole series, and to have that
Yeah.
as like a tying thread of like there's this gossip blog. Like it's most of the time it's bad, but you know it's,
I like seeing each
That
brother's
is-
point of view about
Yes.
how they feel about it.
Yes.
Because there are times where they're like, well, you wait till that comes out. out. And then there's times you're like, why the fuck did that come out? And I'm like, you guys change your mind just as quickly as us females when it comes to this gossip blog. I can tell you that.
Hayes, he doesn't like it at all because he's like, I don't want anyone in my business. I am private. Like, I'm going to get the rat that let that information out. Like, he's very much that sort of thing. Whereas Xander's like, it's just a part of life.
Yep. Just got to deal with it. It is what it is. Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
He's like, make sure you get my good side when I'm coming off the jet, okay?
Yeah. So he's like, whatever, it's fine as long as they're not saying something too horrendous about him. He's
right,
like,
or like slandering.
I feel baby mama kind of a thing.
I was just gonna say, you better not slander his
talk
baby
about
mama or
that
things.
way. No, ma'am.
Exactly. Whereas
iconic.
Peyton, he is the master spin for Olympus, and he uses the gossip blog to his own ends.
Ooh.
I figured he would, honestly. That's kind of where I was going to ask you, is I bet you he spins it.
He spins it a lot. He feeds information about Olympus, like good stuff, to the gossip blog over the years, and so that's why he's never surprised when stuff comes out about Olympus, because he's like, oh yeah, like just to keep the good stuff in there, not the bad stuff. He's not obviously not putting that out there, but like he uses it to their advantage.
I say it has been beneficial for
plan.
Paige and Hayes and their fundraising and stuff. You know, they have highlighted their community involvement and stuff. So the hot list has shone a light on their positivity and has had its positive moments for itself.
And you can kind of see that they're like the hot list is kind of like fan service almost. It is very much like, you are celebrities, we still like you, but we're gonna call you out on the bullshit that you do. So there's
I know she's a journalist.
It's a fake dating trope. That's what Peyton's book is. So
because she's the journalist, right? So I mean, I know we knew that, but I think I'm just now more piecing it together. Like, I'm like, wait, the hot list definitely has to play more into play if we are messing around with the journalist. Like, it's all clicking in my head right now. Like, I feel like a piece of important information is going to come out in this hot list.
Maybe.
I'm like, stay tuned, viewers and listeners.
You told me that at the beginning of this episode. I know better.
I know it.
It's okay.
Only when I have to
I
be.
truly can keep a secret, but do I like to do it?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
No.
But I can do it, and I can do it well.
I'm like, the two of you will probably know about it.
Yeah, right. Be like, okay, in all confidence, this stays here in our group chat, Be My
This
Babies.
is the circle of trust.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, if you didn't know,
we
we're
are her
babies, and we have a Be My Babies group chat because we love her. She's so wonderful, and she's so good to us.
So nice. Can we have a group chat? You're mine now.
Absolutely.
Oh, we are yours
forever and ever. We're never going anywhere.
Good. Perfect. I love that. I'm happy.
Quite the pair, let me tell you.
I love it. I will take it.
I love you so much. We are so thankful that you came on and chatted with us too much, honestly, about all the random things we also want to talk to you about. You're just so great. And you have such a good, bubbly personality and like bright light to you that we need sometimes. I don't think
my ring light over here. It's fine.
No, truly. What you
yourself,
bring to the romance world.
Thank you.
You are amazing, and I'm so glad you're just our first guest. It made perfect sense. We were talking.
We became friends from sliding into DMs. You slid into Libby's. Libby passed on to me, and just the way.
I forgot about that. Sorry, I was looking at the iPad. I forgot that you said it.
And then Libby was like, "Hey, I was just approached by an author about this book coming out, and I think you would actually like it." And I signed up, and then we started chatting in the DMs too.
Yes.
And I mean,
I forgot about that.
Just bam, 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 all in a row.
Wow.
I would have to scroll back all the way to like the beginning and figure out like what that inciting incident was. I don't remember because my memory is terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I just was like so like I like loved you guys so much. I'm like, this is great. You made me feel so
I forgot about that. Like,
welcome.
I feel like such an iconic
Yes.
celebrity, honestly.
You guys are for sure.
No. You are the best, and I love how we all find each other through Instagram.
Yes.
Like, truly, it can
that
be
is the best part of the internet. Sometimes, like I know there's so much bad that's
it's
said
a
about
terrible
social
part.
media.
I'm like,
Yeah, there's a lot that can be
but-
said about why it's not great or it's bad or whatever. But at the same time, like, you can build such wonderful friendships and meet like-minded people.
meaningful relationships and friendships. Yes.
Yeah.
Like lifelong friendships that
Absolutely.
turn way
Where
more
you're
past the
closer
Instagram.
with these people than you are with people in real life. Like, it's kind of amazing.
Or
Where you're like,
they
no, I talk to you every day, and you become real life friends.
Yes, and I feel like that's where like we're all at now, which is why we have no filter. There's nothing we can. We just are like.
I mean,
this is
Libby,
us.
you're coming to Texas next year. For
I know. Hi,
Vixens, and Britt, we have
surprise!
to
If
get you
anyone,
I know. I will try to be there.
I know. If anyone is going next year, that will be my first full book convention ever. I
was gonna
am
say,
terrified.
my social anxiety does not want to do it, but
there's no one else that I would rather be going and doing and having all this fun with. And I'm honest.
A big one too. So,
I know, but I really am excited. And randomly, like people keep trickling into my DMs, like, "Hey, are you going to this?" And I'm like,
"You're like,
actually, I am because I love my girl, and I pretty much invited myself. No, I didn't.
No,
but I
I
am
was
pumped.
like, you can absolutely come to that one. Yes, please.
It will be so fun.
I feel
can't
like going
wait.
as like an
I love
author
it.
assistant is a good first entry into it. You
Yeah.
know, it's
It is.
not.
Honestly, it
Yeah.
seems better
you're
because you know your
behind
the
space
table.
and you're structured. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously you're going and working for the author,
Yeah.
and you're literally one of my best friends. So I'm like, it can't be any
You still get
better.
the chance to go and meet authors and have books signed before it starts.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of like a
fun.
plus of being either a PA or being like a volunteer at an event is that
Yeah.
you get a chance to like rub elbows with these people, and there's gonna be a whole bunch of them.
You're like,
so, yeah.
I know. I'm pumped.
Yeah.
I'm just so excited too to like hype you up because it's obvious I have a podcast, but
So awesome.
I will talk about not only all romance books, but the
Yeah.
same book repeatedly for hours. And boy,
Perfect.
will I make everybody be
Required.
walking. Everyone will be walking away with all of them. What do you mean
good.
you're buying one?
You need
No,
them
you're
all.
not. You're a liar. You have to
That's
buy
why I
all of
give
them. It's a
away
whole
tote bags.
series.
That way you can put all the books in the tote bag, you know? Oh, you're buying
So
6
excited.
books, here's your tote bag to carry them in.
I can't wait. You're so
It's
wonderful.
awesome. You guys are wonderful. Right back at you.
We will definitely
I was
be
saying, you're gonna
having
have
you
to come
back. You're just awesome.
Oh my gosh, Libby.
Oh, no,
Lord
I'm
have
gonna get her
mercy,
going.
what are we doing?
Yes.
I'm like crying right now a little bit because I wrote a scene into Southern Submission that has to do with Pride and Prejudice.
Aww.
If you don't send me at least that scene,
I will. It's gonna be so out of context for you.
That's okay. You
but
can't
he
tease me with
uses
that and
the
not
book.
deliver.
He uses the book and he uses it like open to his Darcy's second proposal. That's like the spot that he uses in the book. Like,
That better be my email
Can
by
we
the
chat
morning.
about how I've never read it or watched it?
No,
you don't have to read or watch it. It's okay.
You don't deserve the airtime for that. No,
I know.
she will.
say
She
that
will.
the 2005
She will be.
Pride and Prejudice, it really changed how I read and took the story because I'd read it prior and it was a little
Same.
dry because obviously it's like
I
Regency
say it,
written
and I feel like it's up
different.
my alley, but I'm also like
It's totally
feel like
up
I
your
have
alley.
expectations now that I don't want to like.
I would recommend watching that one, the Keira Knightley version with
Oh my
Matthew
God, it's
McFadden.
literally
who's the best.
Who is in
Action.
Succession? I
you
do know
find-
that connection.
Yeah.
He was also in Deadpool vs. Wolverine. I just saw him and I kept he kept saying things like eyes on me, and I was like, yes, Matthew. I know.
You're like, yes, Mr. Darcy. Anything for you, Mr. Darcy. Please grab my
I know
hand.
he's a bad guy and stuff, but I was like, yeah. Okay.
You're like, I'm like, you're walking across that dew-covered field for me?
I know.
Mr. Darcy.
But for you, Britt, like I would recommend watching the movie first versus
Yeah.
reading it because it does give you the humor of the story.
She's going to on our next girls trip because we
Good.
have an
You
extra
must watch
day.
it. Excellent, good. I didn't realize how funny Jane Austen was until I saw it, and then I realized the humor and like just the way
Yes.
that Keira Knightley and the other actresses and actors in the film portray the characters, and when they laugh, and you're like, oh my god, no, that's hilarious, or
Yeah.
that's such good
Persuasion.
social commentary. Yeah.
Persuasion with
That Kate
I
Winslet.
can't think of her.
Who is it?
No,
who's in that?
50 Shades.
Oh,
yeah.
girl from-
Dakota Fanning. Oh, whatever last
no,
name.
Dakota
Johnson.
People-
Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Johnson.
perfection. It was perfection,
was
and
so
I
good.
know some people were like, "Wow, it was a little weird," but it really that's exactly
I
how
loved
it
her
was wrote.
breaking
It
the
was
fourth wall for that one, and like to
Yes.
have like more modern elements to it. I was so entertained. I watched it like 3
know.
times.
I know now we're in fall.
No, you're
Sorry, Brett, but
fine.
like it's just like it's such the era of just like
Yeah.
let's put on
Yeah.
Pride and Prejudice. Like I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm in my head saying like,
I
let's put on Harry
was
Potter.
watching that while I was writing Peyton's book. Recently,
Harry
I
Potter
put
too,
it
though.
on, and like Harry Potter's perfect for the fall. By the way, I love
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Oh, my fall reread. What are your fall rereads? Mine is Ninth House and Hellbent by Lee Bardugo.
Just
It is
talk.
dark academia,
Just
Yale secret societies, magic, ghosts,
Ooh.
amazing urban fantasy. So good.
I'm here for it.
I have decided that
so
this year I'm
only
doing
that's October.
the Windy City series as a fall cozy
As you should. That's
reread.
pretty good.
And Britt and I we're starting October with a reread of our Brutal Birthright series that we have
there
our
you go.
tattoo for,
Yeah.
the strawberry.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like light mafia adjacent, but
I read Brutal.
everything else I'm jumping into new. I'm going to do like the Dark Verse series. I guess that's not comfort cozy.
And I'm doing
but,
the
like,
Ritual of the Lord series,
more-
whatever it's called. Like,
yeah.
Oh,
We're
I read
doing
Rituals.
kind of more
I couldn't get past
spooky this
those
year, I
ones.
guess.
So yeah, that's definitely some dark.
yeah, we're going dark for October.
I'm
but
excited. Yeah, I guess we're
you
doing more
are.
spooky than
I like
cozy
that.
this year. So
I had so much
I
fun.
wanna do it
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you for coming
I'm excited.
on.
This is awesome.
It's always good talking to you.
Yes, of course.
I will wrap
We
it
have
up.
to cut ourselves
we
off
do.
at some point. Like, this can't be a 4-hour episode. Like,
Because I'm making you come back, so it's
Okay.
fine.
done.
Maybe we could schedule it around whenever
Yeah.
next release
Yes.
is
That would
for
be great.
the fourth one. We'll have you come
Okay.
back. So we
For
can
Southern
tease that and
submission,
do a little
yes.
bit of that. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Seriously, thank
I
you.
am so excited. So you just got like a ton of new information about that book and Peyton and Ainsley and very excited.
All right, you guys, you can find Adrian's website, Facebook group, Amazon, and all her other socials linked down below. And until next time, I'm your co-host, Sister Britt.
And I am your faithful host, Father Lib, with our wonderful guest, Adrian, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Peace and blessings. Bye.
Bye.
Yay!